Thank you for joining us on our journey here to preserve the history of mixed martial arts. When I wanted to take on this project, I needed help. I brought in one of my favorite matchmakers, Miguel, and the MMA detective, Mike Davis. So to do this, we've been able to preserve history. Welcome and enjoy.
Hey, it's the Lights Out Podcast. Thank you very much out there for joining us once again. And by us, I mean me, Miguel Irati, and the MMA detective, Mike Davis. We are in deep dive territory again. And where are we off to, Mike? We're on the road.
I think we're going across the pond to the United Kingdom, and we're going to go talk to Leigh Remedios.
Oh, an old friend. That's cool. Yep. Leigh is from England, a real pioneer from the old days of, little guy MMA. He was one of the first true 145ers, obviously fought at 155 and stuff like that. And I got to work with him, but I don't know much about him personally. I found him to be kind of shy and quiet when I met him. We'll see if that holds up. I don't know.
He hasn't given many interviews lately, and our format's definitely going to be new for him. Obviously anybody that's kind of interacted with yourself and Chris, because I know, he used to work out with Chris quite a bit. I kind of got a little file, just like a last minute, if we can get somebody in and it's, we're good to go in regards to information. He fell into that category. But at the end of the day, we're going across the pond to Europe. That is I think it goes United States, Australia, United Kingdom, and then Canada. Those are like the order of our countries in terms of listeners. So we got to try to figure out our way back to Australia again, but Leigh Remedios is a good one. I've also got some really good contacts over there. They kind of gave me some really good insight into, how things worked on the independent grind. And it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be an entertaining one.
Yeah, I think so. Here we go, Leigh Remedios.
So, April 16th, I got in Orlando, Florida. I'm at, we're on Smooth Comp, the Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu Pro. I am hosting the event along with some like Carlos Diaz and a myriad of other people. And then I've got some shows in Minnesota and Chicago coming up, 115 Bourbon Street. I think it's April 8th at 115 Bourbon Street on the south side of Chicago. I can literally walk there. Please come out, Ignite FC, and I'll put the other events at a future date. So ladies and gentlemen, like, share, subscribe. It's like giving us a tip. Anytime we've asked you guys to do that, you've come through with us, it's literally like paying us. So we sincerely appreciate you doing that.
Here he comes, Leigh Remedios.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Thank you. Our favorite time right now, deep dives. Yes, right now we got a special guest. Very excited for this. I've known this guy for, probably 20 years. Seems like, is that how old I am now? Damn, we're both old, I guess. Guy from across the pond, over from England, came over and trained with us a long time ago. Leigh Remedios. Leigh, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, so thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course, man.
Definitely cool.
It was always good. You were like one of the first guys I'd known who came over from England and trained, and you were the Ian Freeman is just an awesome thing there, man. So I like seeing your career and you develop and everything. But yeah, we're gonna go over a lot of it from the very beginning of how you got involved. That's one thing I like to start off with is, what did you do when you were growing up? What kind of sports? Soccer, baseball, fighting? What did you do?
Yeah, so I didn't really have much of an athletic background. I used to fight a lot in the car park, in the park out front, the flats when I was a kid. I did compete a little bit in what you guys call track and field. I did pole vault and some long jump and stuff. Yeah, I was always an active kid. I liked to be out being physical. The opportunities weren't really available to me to, I'm from the UK, so we didn't have wrestling. We didn't have a lot of that stuff. Yeah, and I grew up on, I don't know what you call it in the US, but I grew up on a council estate, so I guess low income housing. So
okay.
Yeah, so we didn't have like a ton of opportunities. So I didn't really do a lot of sports when I was younger. I just used to get in fights.
But to be like a track and field, pole vault, and everything, long jump, you're just an athlete. You know, you're athletic. Is that fair to say?
I wasn't really very good at it, but that was okay. You know, I did all right. I won a couple of competitions, and I like to compete, and I'm just competitive. I like to play sports, and I just have fun.
So how did that lead to fighting? Where did that come into play? Had you just walk into a gym one day, or?
Okay, so I used to fight a lot. I got expelled from school for it. I got arrested a lot for it. I was a troublemaker, and I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat this. I won't say, you know, I had a hard upbringing and people picked on me, and you know, I'm not white, so I got racial abuse. I'm not gonna blame it. I'm not gonna make it any excuses. I was a shitbag. I started a lot of fights. I'll be honest with you. I was a little prick. I had a lot of time to myself. My parents didn't really care too much what I got up to, as long as I didn't bring the police home. And I did bring the police home. So I was getting a lot of fights. I was headed down the wrong path. I was in Vancouver, because I've got family in Vancouver, and we'd watched some UFC stuff. This is back in the 90s. We'd watched some of the videos of VHS stuff and thought, oh, that looks amazing. And then there was Jason Fairn was teaching out of Vancouver, and he'd been in UFC 4. And so I just thought, well, I'll go and do some training. And I'd had trained in kickboxing and Tae Kwon Do and stuff, just to help me be better at fighting people. So I went down and trained with Jason Fairn, and I said to him, I want to learn the grappling stuff that you guys do, the jiu-jitsu, but only because I want to be a better fighter. And he was fully on board. He said, that's amazing, because really that's all we want to do is just fight. He had a cage out the back, and I had an inter-club match, you know, closed doors that weekend. He said, do you want to fight one of my guys? I said, yeah. And I lost. And you know, but it was great, and I loved it, and I loved training, and I was just in Jason's gym. I was doing 20 hours a week. Yeah, that's right. I was doing 10 classes. So the 2-hour classes, and I did the beginner and the intermediate classes. I didn't miss any. I was doing 10 classes a week, so 7 days a week, but I didn't have anything to do. I was working a bit in the day, but I'm 21 years old. I go to the gym in the morning, lift some weights. I go to do some jiu-jitsu and some MMA stuff in the evening. I mean, it was NHB back then, as you well know.
NHB.
Yeah, and I just trained like non-stop for like 6-7 months. And
wow.
I took a few fights and did quite well.
Let me interject real quick. So you were living in Vancouver then?
Yes.
Okay, because I mean, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your first 5 fights are in Canada. How long were you there for?
So I guess it worked out to about 2 years.
Is there a reason you left that long from, you know, the UK?
So I went to see family. My dad had moved over there, and his family were there. My grandmother, my aunties and uncles were living in Vancouver. They're from Hong Kong, and there's quite a big Chinese community in Vancouver. And so I was visiting them, and I'd made friends. I'd done some training. I trained at other places, and I trained at Jason's, and I really fell in love with the fighting. And it kept me on the straight and narrow. It stopped me getting out into scraps in the street. It gave me focus. And because I was really enjoying it, I just stayed there. And I'm going to be absolutely honest. I don't know if I should say anything. But yeah, I just overstayed my visa and just carried on training. Just didn't say anything, just carried on training. I worked under the table a little bit. I was living in a warehouse for a while. That was fun in Canada, I can tell you, in the winter.
But,
Vancouver. Come on, Vancouver's not that
joke.
bad. No, it's not that bad.
It's not too bad. You're right.
It's like London.
Well, it's not. I mean,
or Amsterdam. Just I picture them because they're all very rainy. But
Vancouver gets proper snow in the winter. Gets proper snow where cars can't move and stuff like that. You don't get that in London. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
So this was after high school, I'm assuming. Then, am I correct?
Yeah, 20.
Yeah. So I got kicked out of high school. I did well. I went to a grammar school in the UK. That means that you've passed certain grades to be like kind of in the elite. And I went to a grammar school. They weren't tolerating any of that nonsense. They kicked me out pretty quick. And they were right to. I'm not going to make excuses. I was a shitbag. I was getting in fights. I was beating kids up. I was causing a lot of trouble. And they said, "You don't fit in here. You need to go." So I got kicked out of school. I did my exams, and I went to college, and I went to university. And after a year of university, I just hated it. I just wanted to fight. I dropped out. And I was in Canada, and I met Jason, and I thought, this is the path I want to go down. So I just had, you're right. I had like my first 5 fights in Canada. Yeah. And I liked it there. I liked it in Canada. I do like warmer weather because I grew up in Hong Kong till the age of 10. But having grown up in England after that, I was used to the shit weather.
You went from Hong Kong to England to Canada.
It's a little bit more convoluted. I was born in England, moved to Hong Kong when I was very young. I grew up, and I did my schooling in Hong Kong till I was about 10, and then moved back to England. My mum's from England, and my dad's from Hong Kong.
Can I ask you where does but like
my surname?
Remedios, the last name is like, I would have guessed Filipino, like just because I'm ignorant, but it has like a Spanish kind of like, how does
context to it?
Background?
Okay, so yeah, nice and easy. It's Portuguese. It is also a Spanish name. You're right, and your first pronunciation was probably more accurate. I say Remedios, but Remedios is probably better. I don't know. I mean, I'm not Spanish or Portuguese really, other than name.
It's yours.
Right. So Portuguese. My grandfather was from Macau, Portuguese colony. Yeah,
I got you.
So that's where the name is. But really, it's much simpler to say my dad's from Hong Kong. I'm Chinese and English. Okay, it's easier. I can give you the background, but nobody cares.
Yeah,
I care. We care.
Okay, so I was born in England. Then my dad got offered a job in Hong Kong back because he's from there. He got offered a pretty good job, so we moved back to Hong Kong till I was 10. Then moved back to England and did my schooling from then on. And then when I was a teen, my parents split. My dad went to Canada, and I went to visit him a few times. And then we're back onto where we left off.
I just wanted to ask you. You mentioned Jason Fairn. Obviously, you got your start there. Obviously, he's passed away. Would you share with us like a memory of him? Because obviously, he fought a historic UFC fight with Guy Mesger, and he's sort of a guy that gets remembered from that. But obviously, there's so much more. Why don't you share a story with us that maybe we could remind people about?
I've got the perfect story for you guys. Yeah.
Perfect.
So this is quite a good. I think it's a good story. So I was walking through Burnaby. I don't know if you know Vancouver at all. But
I lived there for 2 years.
Okay.
About a year and a half. So.
Okay, great. So I was walking through Burnaby where my grandmother lives. I was walking around, and I was walking back, and some kids had finished school. I guess they were 18-ish. There were Chinese kids, and I mean, I don't want to sound prejudiced or anything like that. I'm just going to say that these particular Chinese kids thought they were gangsters, and for no reason whatsoever. I was with my cousin, who's fully Chinese. He's passed away as well, unfortunately. I was with my Chinese cousin, and we were walking through, and like about 30 of these kids surround us and start running their mouths for no reason whatsoever. We're going to break your legs. Like, what's your fucking problem? So I'm thinking, I've had enough scraps in my life that I know that we can't beat 30 people, even if they're kids. I mean, they're 18-year-old kids, and I'm not a big guy. I walk around about 150, 155 pounds. So, and I was probably smaller then. I was 21 years old, and I wasn't very big. I was walking at about maybe 140, 145 at the time. So I was quite small. And there's a load of these kids who are about the same size as me or bigger. And they're arguing with us. And I don't want to just back down, because I know as soon as you show any fear, that's like blood in the water. So I've said, fuck you, you bunch of idiots. You're not going to do anything. And I said to my cousin, I said, Mark, come on, let's get out of here. We don't need to talk to these losers. But I'm thinking, we need to get the fuck out of here. And so we managed to just take off. But it's left a really sour taste in my mouth. And I thought, I'm being immature about this. You know, I mean, this is more than 20 years ago. But I'm stewing on it. I'm like, these little bastards, they're going to pay. So I go down to the gym to train. And I mentioned to Jason. And he's got angry. He said, those little bastards. He goes, we'll go down there tomorrow. And I said, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, sure. So he had this red Corvette he used to drive around. And at the designated time, we met up and he picked me up and we went down to this this car park where they were behind the Dairy Queen. They hung out and I got out of the car. And this kid, I think his name was Dennis. And I went, because someone recognized him and listened to me, it's Dennis. I won't give his surname. I mean, he'll be in his 40s now. He's not interested. But I've gone over to him and I said, hey, Dennis, yeah? And I said, you want to break my legs, do you? And cracked him. He said, oh, what are you doing? So I started kicking him and punching him. Like, fuck you, you little shit. You want to fucking mouth me off? You want to threaten me? Fight me now. Now you're not so tough, are you? Because I had Jason with me, and Jason brought a couple of friends as well. They're big old boys with us, and this bunch of kids are just kind of like, shit, there's these massive guys here. So they just all they could do was make it like a fair fight. So I've just set about this kid, slapped him around a little bit, told him to fuck off. Excuse my language, I've been very rude tonight. So.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
That was basically it. But I think that's quite a nice story. Jason absolutely backed me up. He came down and made sure that, okay, no one's joining in. You want to have a fair fight, you're going to have a fair fight with this guy. And he can run his mouth and we can see him now. Is he going to run his mouth without all his friends? No, he's not. Yeah, so that's my story that I'm going to give you with Jason.
So
Fairn.
like a diligent business owner, he made sure that you had your street fight on a level playing field.
Yeah. Look, I mean, nobody got beaten unconscious. You know, there wasn't no one got hospitalized.
And if they did, who cares?
I mean, I care now that I'm a lot older and I've got children and I'm married and I try to be a lot more responsible. But back then, I didn't have any responsibilities. A bunch of kids had run their mouth to me, so I gave them a slap. I mean,
there you go.
So Lee, the early MMA days of Canada was pretty much run by bikers. Am I correct when I say that?
It might have been, but I didn't really see that side of it. I didn't get involved. I know Jason kind of ran in those circles. And I think that stuff went on. Everyone was cool with me. I never got asked any, you know, I mean, the only illegal thing we did was fighting was illegal. So one time we got busted by the police in the middle of one of my fights. I was fighting Dennis Hallman and the police raided us and we said we were shooting a movie. Let's
walk this up. Your first fight, July 26, 1997, Raw Combat, you fought David Marias.
Yes. Yeah.
So what kind of facility are these illegal fights happening in?
So this was a warehouse that nobody knew about where it was. This was Dave Fesser and Jason Fairn put it on together, and they got a warehouse. They didn't tell anyone where it was because they didn't want to get raided. Tickets were sold. I think they were $50 a piece, which at the time seemed a lot of money, but now I guess that's quite cheap. I don't know, but at the time that was quite expensive. But people wanted to see bare knuckle fighting, so that's what they got, and it sounded really cool. That's what it sounded like. What it was, guys getting into a ring because they had used a boxing ring. They set it all up, but in secret, and then no gloves or anything, and you could run over and headbutt people and kick them in the balls and all sorts. And so when people came to the event, they had a meeting place, and then they got like minibused across to it, to the warehouse, and then they came in and they had a doctor there because they were selling beer and stuff, and they had a doctor, and he just got totally tanked, and people getting fucked up, getting their faces split open. They go over to the doctor. Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, give me another beer. Yeah.
Well, I like to see somebody who had stitches done by him. You know, they're probably all crooked. So
Oh, yeah.
hey, it'll be all right. Like, man, this guy's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's done in warehouses. Yeah, they'd rent a unit and put a ring in there, put some curtains up for a changing area, and, yeah, off we go.
You know,
So
we've heard of that from a couple of people, Mike, talking about those where people wouldn't know where it was until the last minute, so they couldn't get rated. That was old school Canadian NHB. I love it.
was it in a cage or in a ring?
It was a ring. Yeah.
Okay.
A ring was by far the cheapest option because you could hire a ring relatively easily. When nobody had a cage, you know, nowadays when it's all legal, people will have a cage and they'll rent it out and they'll come, you know, that's their business, and they'll bring the cage and they'll put it up and everything. They have a crew, but you couldn't do that because it was illegal. You couldn't have someone. I mean, I guess you could, but it wasn't common enough, and the risk of being raided, it was just too high to make it profitable to put cages in.
Right. So at this point, like, you got David Moraes. Obviously, you win rear naked choke. How long have you been training prior to that bout?
With Jason, I think 6 months, but that wasn't like an average 6 months. It wasn't 3 times a week. As I said, that was 20 hours a week. There's an intent. I was probably, I'd say, around a beginner blue belt level at that point. I know it's only 6 months, so how did you get a blue belt in 6 months? But it was 20 hours a week, so it was a very condensed 6 months.
Right.
And they had to have you in a high level, because I remember back then, when there was like 5 blue belts in the whole state of Indiana. I mean, if you were a blue belt, that was a big deal. You know, there was just not any around back then.
Yeah. Now, I'm also going to say that I did roll with blue belts that spanked me. I'm not going to say I was a good blue belt. But if you were to rate me on a jiu-jitsu level, mixed in with the fact that I was hyper violent, and I don't say that facetiously. I was highly aggressive. So which had a big part of it. You know, because we would see blue belts doing these NHB fights, and they were just coming out to try and do some jiu-jitsu and running out with the Frankenstein kind of to grab people, and they were just getting fucked up by guys who were just aggressive kickboxers. Thai boxers would just come out and just knee the shit out of them. But I was a guy that was coming to attack people, and I'm not going to say that. I'm not trying to big myself up. I think that was a wrong strategy. I'd come out and I'd gas, but I'd go crazy and savage them. And I had like beginner blue belt level skills, and people knew nothing. Like David Moraes came in as a street fighter, and fair play, the guy turned up and he tried to fight me, but he didn't have the training, right? So yeah. it's a really big disadvantage.
Well,
so I just attacked him, took him to the floor, headbutted him in the face. He didn't know what was going on.
So that was back in the day when
97.
Those jiu-jitsu guys were coming and they were pure. They didn't cross train at all. You know, there wasn't much stand up. They might do a couple of days of stand up before a fight. They were ground guys, and you were somebody who was learning the ground. But I
had some
more of a net fighter. Well. You know.
Yeah, so the jiu-jitsu guys, they were still doing back up you can see, but they were still doing the hoist Gracie, coming out, galloping horse. They're wearing gis and stuff, you know, and who can blame them? Because we were all trying to figure out we were all trying to find our feet. We were all trying to figure it out. We didn't know. The best we'd ever seen was Hoist Gracie, just killing people, right? He's just killing them. So, wow, that must be the way to fight. You know, he's fighting boxers, kickboxers, wrestlers, and he's submitting everyone, and he's doing it. I mean, I didn't wear a gi. I thought that was a little ridiculous, but I can't blame people for doing it because they've seen it done, and that's all they knew.
You know, it's almost kind of smart having your A game aggressive offense and your fallback plan is your blue belt in jiu-jitsu. It's really not a bad position to be in the late 90s. That's for sure.
Yeah, and now we didn't. So this was kind of around the time that Pat Miletich became kind of, got into the scene. And I think he and Frank Shamrock really kind of revolutionized everything. But until then, we were single style. We weren't we weren't athletes. We weren't doing cardio specifically, you know, like and measuring resting heart rates and stuff like this, you know, like Joel Jameson is obviously revolutionized a lot of that as well, you know, by coming out with this sort of like, you know, measuring like heart rate variability and stuff like that. But we weren't doing any of that. I wasn't even doing road work. I was just training, you know. So and not knowing how to pace myself or not warming up. This was all new. You know, I didn't have a background in wrestling. I hadn't had, you know, a boxing record. I didn't have it. I just, okay, what do I do? I've just had scraps in the car park, right? So I'm just, right, I just go out and fight this guy, right?
But your submission game's coming along because in your second fight with Mike Headley at Tiger Balm International, I don't even know how they come up with that name, March 24th, 1998. I mean, you landed an armbar.
Yeah, so that was my third fight, I think. So I had
your record.
On my record, yes. But I'd had another one that didn't go on my record. For whatever reason, I don't know. I fought a guy to a draw, actually a friend, but we took a fight on a show, and yeah, we went to a draw and it didn't go on my record. I mean, I've got a few that haven't been on my record. So Mike Headley, yeah, I unbarred him. He was a taekwondo fighter. So Tiger Balm was a big event in Vancouver it was like a you know, those karate, kung fu, taekwondo competitions where they wear the shiny pants and they do the forms and the point fighting and stuff like that, you know. So like the semi-contact and the light contact, and then the big event in the evening was to have these like mixed martial arts fights. So I did one of those, and yeah, he was a taekwondo fighter, so
it was still an illegal event.
No, that wasn't illegal because they kind of blagged it. They put a load of rules in to make it like it was kind of like a karate event, you know. It's the way they sold it. But no, this wasn't illegal. This was like a big martial arts tournament sort of thing. But you couldn't elbow, you couldn't headbutt, you couldn't knee. You could punch and you could kick like a normal kickboxing fight, and you could do some submissions on the ground. You know, you couldn't ground and pound someone, and yeah. So they did it that way to make it a martial arts event rather than prize fighting. So and he was a taekwondo guy, so it looks cool that I took him down and got an armbar, and he almost submitted me, put me in a guillotine, and I had these big gloves on, I couldn't get my hands in. So it looks good on my record that I got a submission win, but yeah, taekwondo guy almost tapped me.
So Lee, here's the thing. So you got July 26th, 97, March 24th, 98. There's a lot of time in between there. Obviously, you said you had a fight in between. You've got May 17th, 1998, Ultimate Battle against Todd Steen. And you're you're rolling one after another because that's May. And in June 20th, you've got Brent Russell.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, you're kind of fighting quite often now.
So at this point, I wasn't at Jason's anymore. Jason's school had disbanded, and I was training out of the World Kickboxing Academy with Vince Jauncey in Vancouver. He's from England, actually. And actually, going to sound strange, I was a nanny. They used to call me the Manny. He had some young boys. He had two young kids, Josh and Jay, who are actually fantastic kickboxers now. You may have heard of Josh Jauncey. He's really, really good. Jay's really good as well, but Josh is more competitive. They're really good kickboxers out of Vancouver. And I was their nanny, their au pair. And but I was training out of their place, and Vince was the one that convinced me to take fights all the time. He said, no, you take all these fights just to keep busy, because a lot of them I wasn't getting paid for. And I said, well, why would I fight if I'm not getting paid? He said, you know, to keep busy and keep active. And that's the first time that, you know, I had some guidance on, I mean, and I'm not going to knock Jason at all. I mean, he was in the same boat as me, really, though, still finding his feet with MMA because it was all new. But Vince came from a competitive kickboxing background, and he was saying, you want to stay active, because if you leave it too long, then you're going to get rusty, and you know, ring rust is a real thing. And okay, yeah, you're right. And I maybe took it a bit too much, because I ended up doing, I think, something like 4 fights. I can't remember exactly, but it seemed like 4 fights in over about 8 weeks. I was fighting every 2 weeks. I had a fight for a period of 3 or 4 fights, and that was too much, because you taper a week before the fight, then after the fight you just want to have a chill for a week, and then you're tapering for the next one, so you're not getting your training in, but more than that is the mental side of things. mentally you stop caring, because when you've got to fight every 3 to 6 months, you start focusing on it and preparing for it, and you know your opponent and you put your game plan together. But when you're just taking fight after fight after fight, you're like, yeah, okay, well, another one, let's just give it a go. And I think that's dangerous to get into that kind of relaxed attitude when the reality is we're having a full contact fight with very limited rules and you win by beating someone unconscious. I think you've got to have your head in the game.
Well, not only that, I realized sometimes, like, I was in the same boat, probably, late 90s, early 2000s, having a lot of fights. Maybe I remember one time it was 5 fights in 1 month. There was 3 of them were in one night. But I mean, you don't really, as you get older and like the fighters getting better, you start having to peak at the right time. I'd have like a 6-week camp peaking at, right at the end of it. You can't peak when you're doing it every 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Your body just can't do
Exactly.
it. So you can do it, but eventually you're going to have that fight where you're flat. You know what I mean? And so I had that happen. I was like, hey, this isn't working anymore. I was like, I never kicked into second gear. It was just flat the whole time. So that's when I started realizing maybe I got to start really peaking at the end of a camp, and you can't just do it every 3 minutes. It's impossible.
Exactly. I mean, you're quite a different athlete to me. I remember when we trained that you were just so difficult to do anything to. And I don't mean this to sound like I'm criticizing, because I'm not, but it wasn't even necessarily a technical issue. I do think you're a technical fighter, but it wasn't even that. Stuff like you would just Gumby your way out of things. I remember we'd roll and you just beat me up all the time. And one time I got you in a triangle just out of luck. And someone said, I think it was Tony Ross, poor guy, I know he's not with us anymore. Lovely man, really, really nice guy. And he said, oh, that's a really nice triangle. And I said, well, why isn't Chris tapping then? And you were like, and I've got it fully locked in. And you're like, well, I've got some room to breathe.
Man, I mean, every time I train with anybody, all they always talk about is, man, you are so awkward, and I, like, not in a bad way, but man, you're like Gumby, like you talked about, and you're just weird. You don't move like other people. I'm like, I'll take it. I mean, I've never really took real jiu-jitsu. I trained with Jason and Tony and those guys, and we kind of made our own style up. And I made up a style that worked for me because that's how my body was, so it worked for me. It wouldn't work for maybe you or Miguel or somebody, but it worked for me.
No, and I see your fights as well. Obviously, because we knew each other, like, an interest in watching you fight a lot. And you also, you didn't seem like people could knock you out either. I mean, they couldn't submit you, because I've rolled with you, and I know that I've had locked in submissions, and you just bend your way out of arm bars, and you didn't care. Get full on locked on chokes, you didn't care. Just work like kind of like, he's trying to hold a cat or something. It just wriggles its way out, right? But they couldn't knock you out either.
It's a good combination to have as a fighter. It helps.
Yeah.
Got a thick skull, Lee. That's
Homer Simpson syndrome.
That's what his wife says. Anyway,
I can be knocked out and I can be submitted.
Let's open up with the next event then. August 2nd, 1998, Ultimate Warrior Challenge in Vancouver. Dennis Hallman is your opponent. That's no slouch. Right. Dennis at this time has got probably about 30 fights.
Wow.
And you yourself, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your 5th listed fight.
Yeah.
How does this fight get lined up?
So I didn't know anything about Dennis. I just got asked if I would do an event. Well, I mean, but we didn't. I mean, internet was just kind of new then. I think that submissionfighting.com, which was now MMA TV, that was pretty new. And I didn't really go on there very much at the time. And I got asked if I'd fight on this event. And I said, yeah, I'll fight. Fights are coming in, I'll take them. And they said they're going to pay me even better. They said, this guy's name's Dennis Hallman. Okay. I go, what's his background? He's had some fights. He's from Washington State, and I think he's done some wrestling, and he's had a few fights. I said, how heavy is he? And they said, the weight class is going to be 155 or 160 or something. I don't know. I said, well, I'm about 150, 155. So that sounds okay. Yeah, I'll fight this guy. And so I've turned up and had the fight. And I will say, I know that Dennis has had he's had some questionable press, I suppose. I mean, some people have criticized him for some of his antics and stuff like that. But he was an absolute gentleman and a sportsman. He was really, really a cool guy. to the point where I just remember this because it really stuck out with me. The fight that the police came in and broke us up in the middle of our fight. Thank God, because I did no cardio and I was gassed because I was just getting wrestled. Well, the guy was a bit bigger than me. He wasn't massive, but he was bigger than me, and I had no wrestling at all. And he was taking me down for fun. And the police stopped us. I was like, thanks. And so we got a bit of a break, and then we started going again. Before we went, I said, look, you're really sweaty and slippery. Can I ask you to towel down your neck? He goes, no problem. And he did. He took his towel and he toweled himself down for me. And then we carried on fighting. And I thought, wow, what a sportsman, what a gentleman to do that,
So wait, the police raid the event.
Yeah, there's more here, Mike. Good job.
Wait, do they run into the ring? What happens?
They just come through the door and they're like, okay, so what's going on? There's 2 cops and okay, referee stops the fight. What's going on? And the police come over and they talk to the promoters and stuff, and the cameras are all up and they say, yeah, we're shooting a movie. We've all been told beforehand, look, if the police come, say you're shooting a movie. So they come over and so it's a movie.
Part of the rules meeting?
Sorry?
Part of the rules meeting. If the police come, we're shooting a movie.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I know that sounds crazy. That's literally, in the rules meeting. Yeah. If the police come in, we're shooting a movie. Yeah, that's right. Awesome. That's correct.
This is fake blood coming out of mine. I think we got a really good guy making this, or we're really dedicated method actors. I don't know. Did they ever find out how the police found out? Did they get ratted out? What happened? Did anybody ever find out?
No, I don't know. I didn't speak to them. I didn't really have much to do with the promoters. So they asked me to fight. I turned up and I fought, and then I went home.
Could you? Was he wearing regular shorts, or was it like a Speedo? Because he had a problem with that in the UFC.
Yeah, I can't remember.
You remember that?
That's probably a good thing.
Well, I'll be honest, I used to wear Speedos too.
I mean, at the beginning, we all did. They weren't really Speedos, but they were those, like the short shorts. Yeah, and everybody wore those tight shorts.
Yeah, he wasn't wearing anything outrageous like that mankini that he wore or whatever. He wore those really tiny Speedos, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah. No, he didn't wear those when he fought me. No.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, just a regular guy. And so I remember I got him in a heel hook, and I let go because I wasn't going anywhere, and he was leaning on me to get out, kicked him in the face. I thought, I've got a heel hook, but I don't know if it's going to work, and I can kick him in the face. So I let go and kicked him in the face. He said to me afterwards, because I lost that fight, and he said to me afterwards that the heel hook was really close, and he was thinking of tapping. I'm like, geez, that would have been a good win to have, now looking back. But I will say again, he put me in a Kimura, and I didn't want to tap, and my arm popped. He popped my elbow with it, and he stopped, and he goes, man, your elbow just popped. And I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. You can have that. I mean, he didn't carry on cranking it. He stopped, and it would have felt, it would have been completely wrong of me to take advantage of that, well, I mean, I had a popped elbow, so I'm not going to fight much more anyway. But I thought, I know he gets bad press, and I haven't really spoken to him since, but at that particular moment in time, he was really, really cool with me.
That's cool.
Yeah, Lee, we did an interview with him. I think the police should have been called, and our interview should have been used as just like evidence A, B, C, D, and E with his interactions with Jeff Monson. Would you not agree, Chris Lytle?
Man, like you said, we had him on. Yeah, great guy as well. You're right. He's still good with us, but man, you should have heard the stuff like he did to Jeff Monson, just taking all his furniture out of his living room and putting on his house, the roof in the exact order of his living room. Just messing with the guy, man. Just taking used baby diapers and sticking them like in between the grooves of his seats in his car. So like, what does that smell? Just torturing the guy, man. Like, don't get on his bad side is the point. He seems like a great guy, but don't get on his bad side.
Yeah.
I don't know Jeff really well, but I have cornered him for a fight before.
Really?
Yeah, he came to the UK to fight, and
was it Tengiz?
Yes, yeah. He fought Tengiz twice.
Okay.
And I didn't really know him, but the promoters said, look, Jeff's here by himself. Lee, you're an experienced fighter. Can you do his corner? So I said, yeah, okay, sure. I'm happy to. And Jeff was really cool. He was a really pleasant guy, really nice. You know, he asked me to wear his sponsor's T-shirt and stuff. I think he was sponsored by Chris Brennan. I can't remember the brand. He asked me to wear the T-shirt.
Nogueira.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yes. And so I said, sure. And I wore it. And then afterwards, he asked for it back. And I said, I thought I'd get to keep it. and he was like,
ask for it back. What?
No, well, he goes, well, I think he was selling them. I don't know what the deal was. But then he said to me, it's okay. Just keep it anyway. He you know, sounds nice of him, you know. I do remember, I'm just rambling, I suppose, but I do remember that he said he'd been working on his boxing and he was going to try and stand up with Tengis. I said, look, I saw you fight him before and you took him down and submitted him. I think you should do the same thing again, because I'm holding Mike on the pads, and I don't want to sound, I guess, rude, but I guess the standard's different. I know in MMA, especially in the US, you've got a lot of wrestlers, and it's proven to be effective. But a lot of the striking in MMA is quite poor, in my opinion, and I don't mean that to sound arrogant.
That's
true. Yeah, like you've got a lot of American wrestlers who are very athletic, very strong, very good wrestlers, and they're tough guys. And you see
Can't
it so
box
much.
the lick.
Yeah, and
Lick.
they got a big bench press and a hard head, and they think that's how you should box. And let's get him. And they're trading punches. And I'm not saying Jeff was like that, but I took him on the pads, and I'm not going to say he's terrible or anything like that, but he's short. He's my height, and I'm short. He's like 5'7", and Tengis is a tall guy, and just you know, Jeff wasn't terrible, but your striking's not good enough to box a guy
he's kind of muscle bound too, you know. So it's not like he's not like one of those guys that has like natural power, you know.
Yes,
short arms too.
Yeah, you know, yeah, exactly.
No,
So
nothing's working for him.
He's got like a T-Rex thing.
So I said to him, I think you're better off shooting. I said, you've got great wrestling. Tengis is a good wrestler too, but you get under him, you get his legs, you get him down, and on the ground, you destroy him. Why would you box with the guy? He goes out, he tries to throw some jabs, he eats one, he takes him down, and he submits him.
So much for working on your boxing.
Yeah, but he was very pleasant, really, really nice guy. You know, very, very quiet, very, you know, he seemed like a very humble, soft-spoken guy. And I know.
Did he ask you to take him out at night?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak about that side of things. I don't know. No, I just worked with him in a professional capacity, in as much as I took him on the pads to warm him up. I was in his corner. To hold water for him, and he didn't go past the first round, so it didn't matter. And he gave me a T-shirt. So
that's cool. So Lee, May 25th, year 2000, you've got about a 15-16 month, off time, and you're back in the UK for Fight Night 1 against Craig Mitchell. What was the reason for the time off?
Okay, so trying to find fights in the UK was difficult, but. And I'm trying to think. No, I'd had fights in between that. So I did some amateur tournaments. In the UK, we had these competitions called the KSBO, Knockdown Sport Budo. They were, and they were quite a lot of fun. You didn't get paid, but if you did the main international tournament once a year, if you won that, you got paid. And I did that a couple of times, and I won that. But they were no head striking at all. So I know that sounds a bit lame, but you could do any submission you wanted. You could do any strike. I mean, you couldn't hit the balls or anything, but you could like elbow the spine. You could stamp on people. You could pinch them. You couldn't hit the head, but you could suplex people on their neck. You could put spine locks on. You could do heel hooks. You could do it was kind of cool. But their kind of mantra was, if you're not getting life-changing money, don't take life-changing risks. So they didn't allow head contact. But I did a few of these tournaments. So I was, and that's pretty cool because you're getting 3 fights in a night and you're not really risking getting brain damage. I mean, you're getting slammed around, I suppose, right? And if you're trying to armbar someone, they can pick you up and powerbomb you. And that happened to me a few times. But I did a few of those. So I wasn't completely inactive. But in 2000...
What led you going back to England?
So I just got a bit homesick after a couple of years in Vancouver. Yeah, nothing really more than that. I couldn't legally work in Canada. So it was difficult to get into. I wasn't going to make a career fighting at that point because there wasn't any money in it at the time, and I wasn't going to make a career doing anything else in Canada because I couldn't legally be there. So I thought, okay, well, I'm 22 now, 23 maybe. I need to do something with my life. So I went back to the UK and went back to university. Sorry?
Yeah, you had to have quite an advantage, though, having all that training in Canada.
It was massive. Yes. I got ranked number 1. I won a load of titles in the UK. Some of them that you haven't mentioned, so maybe they didn't get listed. I don't know, but I won a lot of stuff in the UK. Not because I'm really good, but because the best of the grapplers were coming in with a bit of judo. We had no, and aside from that, no wrestlers at all. We didn't have wrestlers.
I think that's really hurt your country as a whole. Even like in today's game, like anybody. I mean, what do you got? Leon Edwards. Other than Leon Edwards, there's not many people coming from your country that don't train in the United States.
Yeah, that's it's a lot better now, but you're absolutely right. We simply do not have the pedigree over here of wrestling. We do have some very good wrestlers here for MMA, but you're right. We don't have the kids starting at like 6 years old, and doing. The wrestling meets.
That's common here. I mean, just for people in the United Kingdom, if you start wrestling in 7th or 8th grade, it's almost too late. Like kids are starting in 3rd, 4th grade, and it's not 1 or 2 kids. It's like an army of children.
Yeah.
You know what? It's amazing to me is and here we have a lot more. All of a sudden, the females are wrestling a lot. Every team has females on it, and they even have all female teams. Like that was unheard of back in the day. Now it's just like a lot of females wrestling. So
yeah,
that would probably help with
really
MMA
cool.
as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and it is cool to see. I think that it is awesome that we get to see women, girls training combat sports and doing well. And
there's so much more technical than boys. Like it's like in the grammar school, just so people in your country understand, the girls tend to do tournaments with boys. In tournaments, they're so much more technical. Like they're so much better than the boys in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade.
Well,
I can't comment, but sorry, Chris, I don't mean to talk.
Go ahead.
Okay, I can't comment on wrestling. I don't know if they're more technical in other combat sports. So I think simply because of the talent pool, you've got like over here, judo is a lot bigger than judo. May be the biggest sport. Well, Brazilian jiu-jitsu is probably the biggest combat sport now in the UK, but judo has been big for decades, and it's generally the US and North America in general is much bigger into sport. They're much more into sports. Sports is much bigger over there than it is over here, just in general. Soccer, I mean, we call it football, is the biggest sport here by far. But combat sports, it used to be judo, and there are quite a few girls that do judo still, but the talent pool is still much smaller than it is for the men. For the boys, way more boys do combat sports than girls. So I don't know if I'd say that the women are more technical in judo or Brazilian jiu-jitsu over here, just simply because their talent pool's a lot smaller. I can't talk for wrestling because I don't know.
Yeah. So where are you working out at when you go back to the UK? What gym?
Back then?
Yes.
None. I didn't have one. So so a friend of mine, Warren Berry, he won a British judo championship as a young lad. So he was a black belt in judo, and he was from the same town as me. So I went to the judo club and I met up with him, and I spoke to him about doing this sort of stuff, and he blew his mind. He was like a 17-year-old kid, and he was like, I was 21 when I met him, because I'd popped back to the UK briefly after training at Jason's, and I went to the judo club and I met with him, and Warren was like, wow, this is incredible. And so he got really into it. So I went back to Canada and I came back, and he'd been trying to do a little bit. So Warren and I got together and we just rented out some mat space at the local sports center. And we had another friend of ours, his name's Ben Stewart. So I only mention the names because Warren and Ben are still very good friends of mine, and they've opened up a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym. They're both black belts. Wow. And they still train and they still teach jiu-jitsu, and they run the gym. And so, but we would just get together, put gloves on, just beat the shit out of each other. Right? We didn't know any better, right? And Ben didn't know anything at the time, so we're trying to coach him while beating him up. And that's the training we had. We just got together and just tried to be technical, tried to find books to read, like the Fighter's Notebook and stuff. And I think Henzo released a book, or Hoyler, someone released some books, and trying to find some Maris Berry VHS tapes. And we just watch fights of people and just try and fight. And yeah, that's what we were doing.
So I have a question. Was the UFC available on pay-per-view there, or do you have to get the old VHS tapes?
Yeah, it was not available at all on pay-per-view, not at all. We had to find. You couldn't even buy it. You couldn't buy the VHS tapes. You had to get them bootlegged.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they were. I never saw them for sale anywhere. But we would have to bring them in, and that was a pain because you got to convert them from the. Nobody uses VHS anymore. I'm trying to remember the details, but the US uses a 60 frame per second.
Yeah, we had VHS. You guys had Beta or something like that, or
we didn't have Betamax in the UK. I had one in Hong Kong actually. Had a Betamax video recorder, but our VHS was slightly different. What did you have? NTCS or something like? Is that right? I don't know.
Dude, we're talking about technology from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
We sucked at it then.
Yeah, we suck at it today. I can't even imagine.
we had PAL and you had NTCS. I think it was something like that. Anyway, only because I used to play the video games. I used to play on the Mega Drive, the Genesis, and the Nintendo, and so I know the conversions because that's what we used to do. But then we got into you could start downloading events on. They didn't have torrents at the time. There was what was it called? DC++, Direct Connect or something. You could get these kind of software for your computer, and you could start pirating videos and movies and music, and people were putting we're talking
an early version of Napster, I think is what you're describing.
10K a second or something like that. It was really slow. So you'd set it going and you'd hope that it wasn't as many leeches, and the next day you might have the event to watch.
So you beat Mitchell by armbar second round.
Yeah.
And what the UK?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I was going to say no. That was a quick fight, and I felt really bad for that one. That was like a minute and a half.
Okay.
And he was a really nice kid. Just want to make a point on that one. That was a bit of a promoter being a bit of a scumbag. I turned up and I weighed, I was 71 kilos. What's that? 157-ish, 156. And he's turned up at 145. So I had maybe a bit heavy, but there was 10 pounds in it. And he looked like a young lad, and he didn't have the background I had. And he came down, that's when I first met Ian Freeman, because he came down with Ian Freeman. Well,
if he's from a legit camp, it is what it is.
Right. Well, you say that. Yeah. Okay. Right. And the kid had some judo background, and they caught me on video, and they put it on TV as well, because I had a camera crew following me at the time. I was on a documentary, and this was part of it, and they caught me on camera saying, we're talking 20 years ago, but I said, he seems like a nice kid, but I'm gonna fucking ruin him. I thought really, and I saw that back, and it's published. I felt so bad because he was just a nice kid, but I'm not twice his size, but I felt like I was twice his size. And we come out, and I've just grabbed him, just chucked him on the floor, and just smashed an armbar on him real quick. And that fight should never have happened, really. So it looks like a nice, again, it's a win on my record, but that fight shouldn't have happened. It would never have been cleared nowadays.
There was also no regulation back then on mixed martial arts.
We were still arguing rules in the rules meeting. We didn't know what the rules were going to be. It was we're warming up in a tent in the garden. It was really bad, and
asking, can we headbutt? No. Can we punch to the ground? You're still
that's right. Exactly.
Legitimately arguing we'll allow that. What?
Or that rules are for them. He and I agreed to this rule instead.
Yeah.
I felt really bad because that kid, Craig Mitchell, he was a tough, gutsy little kid. He fought a few more fights and he was tough. They chucked him in with a guy who'd had a ton of experience compared to him and was significantly bigger.
Yeah, but I think your experience kind of outweighed the entire country at that point.
Right, but they could have and I did fight guys who were a bit bigger than me, or I fought guys that had good judo backgrounds or good kickboxing backgrounds. You know, maybe he had a good judo background, I guess, but he was, you're right. And it's difficult to try and match people when it wasn't glamorized at the time. So right now, MMA is a legitimate sport, and it is glamorized, and people want to do it. They want to be a fighter, and they want to be on the TV, and we weren't doing it for that, because we weren't being televised. I mean, I had a camera crew follow me for this event, but generally we were doing it because we wanted to fight. We weren't, I mean, I was an engineer at the time. Well, I think I was at university studying engineering. This wasn't going to be my career anymore. I wasn't going to be a fighter making millions. I was doing it because I love to fight. And so was he. My opponents were all the same. We were doing it because we wanted to fight.
What were you getting? Did you get paid for this fight?
No.
Okay.
So I have a question. Was real quick, was Ian Freeman a big name at this point, or was he just starting off, or was he well known?
No, he just had his one fight in the UFC against Scott Adams.
Yeah. Leg locked or heel hooked or something.
Yeah. I mean, Ian was a big name in the tiny MMA scene because he'd been in the UFC at the point, but he got beaten very quickly. Now, I'm not criticizing Ian. Ian's a friend of mine, still to this day. And as it was, he was flown out on very short notice.
Oh, terrible! They set him up to lose, man. And, going against an ankle lock specialist, and
and he was jet lagged and everything else, and that's legit.
Lee, that's the truth. That's the truth. I mean, there's a home field advantage.
You don't fly somebody out the day before the fight. That's impossible to win.
Right. So I'm not criticizing.
What they do in Japan.
Yeah, and they've asked me to do that a few times, and I've turned. I've never fought in Japan. The opportunities I've had have involved me being set up. So
but you understand it. You know what I mean? You can't do that.
Yeah.
So let's move the conversation along to July 9th, 2000. Ring of Truth, Louis Beale. You get another armbar win.
Oh fucking hell! That fight, my God. Right. So I was meant to fight someone else. And he got injured. So on a week, they said to me, we got someone else, Louis Beale, but he's 80 kilos. So that's 175, 180 pounds. And I'm fighting it. I'm walking at 155. So, and I'd seen him fight, I think, before, and he was tough, but he didn't have a lot of grappling skill. So I was like, yeah, okay, all right, I'll fight the guy. Because I mean, that's what we do. So I thought, and I had no clue. Again, showing my naivety. My naivety. Sorry, I've completely balls that up. How naive I was. And I've taken a load of creatine to try and get some weight on, because I'd read in a muscle mag that will put some weight on you. So I thought, well, this guy's got 10 kilos on me. That's over 20. He's over 20 pounds heavier. I'm going to try and put some weight on. So I took a load of creatine, got about a minute into the fight and couldn't move.
You're lucky you didn't shit your pants.
That didn't happen to me. I have shit my pants another time, but that's a different story.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about one later. Sorry, John Kavanagh. So I'm fighting Louis Beale, and he was a really good gentleman as well. He was real short, real stocky, and real slippery. And I managed to take him down 3 times, and I kept putting him in as I go up, move to high mount to get into the armbar. That's my setup that I used to use. I go, get to mount, high mount, S mount, armbar. And every time I tried it, he kept slipping out the back door. And I'm getting so fatigued trying to take down this guy who's a lot bigger, having to get on top of it. And my wrestling's not great. So I'm just trying to muscle him down, and I'm exhausted, and I've got nothing left in me. And I shoot in, and I grab him around the legs, and he's not allowed to elbow me. These funny rules, you couldn't elbow or knee a downed opponent. So he's waiting to elbow me, and he's just waiting there, and I'm on my knees, and I'm taking a breather. And then I stand up, and he goes to elbow me, but I've just clinched, taking him down again. But this is going to sound so terrible of me, and Louis, if you're watching this, I apologize. At one point, he ended up on his knees, and I'm standing up. and thought, I need to end this fight. I'm so exhausted. So I flying kneed him in the face whilst he's on his knees. Completely illegal. And I'm not really thinking about that at the time. I'm not trying to foul him, but I'm certainly not thinking about anything. I'm just thinking I need to put this guy out. So I flying kneed him in the face as hard as I could, and I split him wide open. And the referee stops me. The referee was Alex Reed. Do you guys know who Alex Reed is? No. Okay.
Alex Reed, of course, he's an actor, famous actor from UFC fighter. Fought, I know who Alex Reed is.
Yeah. So he's a friend of mine as well. But he was the referee at the time, and he's going, whoa! You stop the fight. He goes, you can't do that. So I've gone, oh, okay. And Lewis is on the floor, holding his head like, yeah, you can't do that. Oh, sorry. While he's still on the floor, I run behind him and slammed on a rear naked choke. Totally taking advantage of the situation. They pulled me off. No, you can't do that. Promoter pulls me aside. Right, you fouled, and under our rules, if it goes a distance, you lose, because that's the rule. If you've got a foul on your record, if you've got a foul on the scorecard, boom, automatic lose if it goes a distance. I'm like, fuck. Okay, well, I can't go a distance anyway. So I take him down again, and I put him in I go for the armbar. And he's not tapping, and I've got no energy. I'm just kind of trying to get him to break his grip, and before I get the armbar, I'm trying to get him to break his grip, and I start to hammer fist him in the face. But it's so pathetic. It's like this. So, and he eventually lets go, and I get this arm, and I'm in the ropes, and I can't get any extension on it, and he's squirming, and I'm bending it over my hip. And I'm thinking, if he doesn't tap, I'm gonna. Right? But he eventually taps, and I just collapse. And in the report afterwards, in the write-up, someone said in the report, they said Remedios collapsed. Beale looked like he was just getting warmed up. Yeah, I learned that put me off fighting. I'll be honest, I didn't want to fight again. After that, I said to my friends, I said, no more of these. I don't want to fight anymore. I hate it. That was horrible. Yeah, just a horrible experience all round.
That sounds like the first time you've had when you get in there and you. Yeah, when you you're tired, you can't do anything. That's the worst feeling in the world, and it's horrible, especially when the other guy has energy. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm telling my body what to do. The brain works, but your body is not doing it. That is probably the worst feeling in the world. Every fighter's been there, I think. But yeah, afterwards, you're like, something's got to change. I'm not going through that again. That's why you see a lot of the older fighters are people with experience. They don't waste energy. When people waste energy earlier, they don't do that. If you've had that happen, you're like, I'm saving every bit of energy I can.
Yeah, so the smart guys would absolutely address that. Not me.
So Lee, on the card also, you had Lee Murray versus Danny Rushton.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What was Lee Murray like at this moment in his career?
I ended up friends with Lee Murray as well. At that point, I didn't really know him very well. So he was friends with a guy called Dexter Casey, which sounds almost like a comic book superhero character's name.
It does.
Yeah. But Dexter I got on with quite well. He was one of the first guys to fight MMA in the UK as well. He was quite a well-known fighter at the time. And he was friends with Lee Murray. And he started getting Lee Murray some fights. So Lee seemed very quiet. He just seemed very angry and very quiet and looked like a guy you didn't want to fucking piss off. I didn't know much about him. I do now, obviously. But I didn't know a lot about him. But he was a nutcase. Danny Rushton, I'm friends with. I quite like Danny. He's a really nice guy. And they fought, and Danny was definitely the more skillful grappler, without a shadow of a doubt. Danny was a bit of a pioneer in grappling in the UK. He was really, really good. He took Lee Murray down, and he armbarred him and broke his arm. And then Lee Murray kicked Danny in the face with a broken arm and knocked him out whilst being armbarred. And
wow.
Afterwards, Lee Murray was interviewed, and they said, the people are talking, there's a rumor that your arm actually got broken in that fight. He goes, yeah, that's right, it did. And they said, well, so why didn't you tap? And he was like, what? He goes, my arm's broken. What's the point in tapping then? He goes,
damage is already done.
Yeah, he goes, maybe tap beforehand. Once it's broken, why would I tap? And that's probably the best anecdote I can give you to the psyche of Lee Murray.
Wow.
Interesting. Yeah.
Now Lee, you said you were thinking a little bit about quitting.
Yes.
Not like a trip to Indiana to fix that.
There we go.
September 16th, 2000, hook and shoot. Miguel, Lee jumps on your radar, where he has probably the hardest fight of his career.
So this one was kind of funny. So I'm down there. So Ian says I'm going out to train with Jason Godsey and those guys. Would you like to come with me? And then you can be my corner man for my UFC fight against Ted Williams. I said, well, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to. So I come out and I meet Chris and I meet all the guys. I meet Jeremy Bolt and Alex Steibling and Tony Ross and I meet all the guys and all lovely, fantastic hospitality. They put us up. Just really, really cool guys.
Put them up, choke them out.
Yeah, but they really, really. I mean, I don't need to blow smoke up Chris's ass because I'm telling the truth, and he knows I'm telling the truth. They were all really, really cool with us. Everyone was very, very nice.
We loved having you. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And so some of the guys were fighting down on Hook and Shoot, and we'd heard of Hook and Shoot in the UK. I'd heard of it, and so it was
Eric Acker.
Yeah. So it was in the next city down. It's still in Indiana.
Evansville.
That's right, Evansville. And so we took the trip down there. And while we went down the day before for the weigh-ins, I think. And whilst I was there, just talking around, and I can't remember. Someone overheard, or I overheard, or something got mentioned that I said, I'd love to fight on Hook and Shoot at some point. And I think maybe Miguel overheard it, and he said to me, "Do you want to fight on the show?" I said, "Yes." What? Tomorrow? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'd love to fight on your show. That'd be amazing. And he goes, "Yeah, well, I've got one of these." Was he part of the crew or something? The camera crew or the ring crew or something? He was just a member of the crew, and he does some wrestling in school or something. And he goes, "Well, he wants to have a fight. He's a little bit bigger than you, but he's not got any MMA experience." I said, yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure, I'll fight him. And I met him, shook his hand. He seemed like a nice guy. And that was crazy. The next day I've come down to fight, and I said, "Well, I in the UK, we got the rules are always all over the place. And I wear wrestling shoes. Will you let me wear them?" And Miguel's like, "No, we don't allow them, but I'm going to let you." I'm like, oh, okay. That was a tough argument. So
Good to be the king.
Look at Miguel.
Yeah, so I've gone in and I've kicked him as well. I've kicked Eric, but with my shin, and he kind of looked at the ref. And the ref didn't give a shit. Why? So he's grappled with me, and Jason's in my corner, and he said, "Go to your guard, go to your guard." Really? This is MMA, but you're my corner man. So I went to my guard, and I got an armbar very quickly. You were right. The guy's gone to he's gone into my guard, and he's put his hands on my neck. So I mean, okay, well, you
got to do it.
It'd be rude not to, right? And I put it on, and it did crack, and I thought, and I think
he should have tapped. If he only had the Lee Murray attitude, he would have kept fighting, but he didn't. So whatever.
That's true, Mike. Yeah. That's absolutely true. Eric passed away too. We're kind of mentioning that a lot. It's interesting, but yeah, he passed away too.
That's really, really sad. And I didn't really know him, but he never did wrong by me. He was a nice
Miguel,
guy.
Who was he as part of the Hook and Shoot crew? Who is
all
he?
Right, so I'm putting together my I guess at this point you'd have to call it a defense, right? No. So Lee's down there with a crew of guys that I use a lot, which is the integrated fighting guys. And he's cruising around, he's looking for a fight, and I'm making a fast assessment here. I got a British guy with like a 9-1 record. That's a level up from local guys from Indiana if you could start moving that. It also got the network in so that the next appearance, or right around that time, we also got to land Ian Freeman. So there was a little bit of that working. The other part of it is, and what Lee has been humble about all interview is that when you everything he says, he's already sort of a pioneer guy, right? Fighting in the 90s with Jason Fairn. I mean, this is, root stuff. Throw on top of that the fact that he was a 145 pounder, and you're light years ahead of where a lot of people were in the sport. So I thought it just looked good on our card to have him along. He also fought Jeremy Bolt, who was a 125 pounder from Chris's camp. 125 pounds. This is 2000. Nobody had those weight classes.
Yeah, also like at 125, Jeremy Bolt was one of the top 3 like ranked in the entire world at one point. I mean, it wasn't a deep weight class, but he was.
What's bad for people like him, and even people like Lee here is like, there was no guys who'd show up to fight at 145 or 135. I bet half the time I go, we got this guy who fights at 155, and you'd be like, all right, I mean, there wasn't a lot of options. Choice. You just took fights at any weight class a lot because you had. It was rough for people at the lighter weight classes back, and I felt horrible for him. It was like, man, I remember losing a couple. I was like, he just got manhandled. It's just nothing you could do. You got a guy to weigh you by 25 pounds. That's a lot. It's tough.
He was really good. I really like Jeremy. I liked all the guys, but out of everyone, he and I, because we're both smaller guys, we really clicked. He put us up for 3 weeks as well, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We stayed at his house. He was really, really, really a cool guy.
Yeah, and not to repeat or beat a dead horse, but 2000 for these weight classes, you don't have a lot of people operating in that. And this is us trying to enact a plan, because we had 125, we had 135. I don't know. The Acker fight, probably the weight really didn't matter much. And with Lee's resume, Lee got a gimme fight kind of there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I got mine back as a matchmaker the next time because he fought our top guy, and that's the kind of thing that, props to him because, hey, he fought that first time, and then the second time he embraced, what the show was really about. He fought Phil Johnson.
I'm going to say, and I've got nothing to gain from this, but I'm going to say that you guys always treated me fantastically. I was super, super impressed with the operation you guys put on. And I say, I've got no reason to make any of that up. I mean, if I thought you were shit, I'd tell you you're shit.
Well, here.
You treat me very, very well.
Well, thanks. I mean, thank you.
All right, so Lee, you fought in the Czech Republic December 5th, 2000. What was the MMA scene like there?
Okay, so I had a manager, Julian. He was Ian Freeman's manager. And
Julian Lane?
Sorry?
Lane?
No.
What's his last name?
So his actual name is Sonessa. It's Italian. But
okay.
He went by Woodridge for a while as his professional name.
Okay, I'm mixing things up here.
Okay. He's a really nice guy. He and I got on very, very well. And he got asked, he got in contact with someone. They said, like, we're looking for a fighter to come over and fight in the Czech Republic in Prague. It's no rules though. I mean, it's no biting, no eye gouging, and this weird rule where you couldn't open hand the ear. But that was it. You could do whatever else you wanted to do.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. If you wore shoes, you couldn't kick. But that was it. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. And they said, first they asked me if I would drive over. And I said, you're fucking having a laugh. I'm going to drive from the UK to Prague. You're going to fly me. And I'm like, okay, we'll fly you, I suppose. And but they wouldn't. I didn't have a corner man, so I went out there by myself. And again, a camera crew were doing a documentary on me, so they came to watch. But I mean, they had no experience. They can't hold pads for me or anything like that. But they said to me, right, we've got a guy here who's going to work with you, and he's still a friend of mine to this day. His name's Roman Zelenka, and he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu now, and he was really cool with me. He warmed me up. We did some training and stuff, and so I went into this fight, and they really treat me very, very well. I'm going to be honest. You go over and you think, are they a bunch of commies? This Eastern Bloc third world country, but no, they were really, really professional. They gave me spending money. They were really upfront with me.
Was it mob run?
Sorry?
Was it mafia run?
Don't know. Maybe.
It's not up to him.
Yeah. Chris, you had mentioned to me that you had an obligation right around now.
Yeah. Hey, fellas, I hate to do this. Lee, great getting up with you. I got to go do town council stuff. I got to get out of here. You guys carry on, onward, upward. Thank you. I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks,
Good to see you,
Chris.
Chris. Cheers.
All right. So, you go to the Czech Republic, you win by rear naked choke against Karel Svetcheta. I don't know who that is.
So he had a Thai boxing background.
Okay.
Which was really tough for him because MMA is tough for strikers because if they know that I grapple, they can't just open up their game. They can't just come out and start trying to fire because they're getting taken down. So then they're on the back foot being defensive. I just hunt them down, walk them to the cage, drag them down the fence, and it's tough.
Yeah,
right?
That's the thing about being a stand-up specialist, that everything that has made you successful as a stand-up fighter, you now have to completely change and adapt to a guy trying to take you down. It is not an easy position to be in. From there, July 16, 2001, you fight in Cage Warriors 13 against Emmanuel Fernandez, where you get a draw.
I fought before that. I fought him on Cage Rage for the title before that.
You know what? I thought, was that the rematch, or I got Cage Rage September 11, 2004. Did I flip-flop him?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if I flip-flopped him, okay, go ahead.
He beat me by decision at Cage Rage for the title. But he was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. Really nice guy. Again, friends with him still. He was
Cage Warriors now. Cage Warriors. Oh, it's that. Okay, go ahead. Miguel, I think this is when you guys usually yell at me for my notes not being in order. This is one of those instances. So I am going to, take my medicine as it comes in the comment section.
Well, no, in fairness, record keeping then wasn't their strong point.
So why would we be fair to Mike?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that.
I may or may not have made up an event in the past to troll and had some fighters put into her dog that completely fictional. It was that easy to manipulate records. Right? Not on my record. I didn't do that for my. I just made up some fighters. I created an event and just trolled Chris Brennan.
All right.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
so Emmanuel Fernandez.
Yeah. So his nickname was Pythagoras because he was triangling everyone, and he won. He was 4-0, winning by triangle in every fight. So he was becoming really popular, and it was a great fight for me. It was a Cage Rage title. So this is Cage
Rage 7, am I correct?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first round, you had really good transitions. I thought you won the first round. And then dominant position in the second round.
I'm trying to remember. I cut a lot of weight for that fight, and I don't want to use it as an excuse because I was significantly bigger than him, and that helped me. But in the later rounds, I got really tired. And I was actually green at the weigh-in.
I broke this down. I've got it. And in essence, I think you lost a unanimous decision in your first fight. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the first round, very good transitions. I thought you eked it out. The second round, dominant position. Like I thought you were slowing down, but you had the most dominant position. He wasn't doing much offense. I gave that to you as well. I think the third round, you limped across the finish line. And I know he tried 2 guillotine attempts, and he had like one flurry that you responded to with like a takedown in that third round. I thought you kind of got screwed on this by Cage Rage.
Yeah.
That's not something that we've had here. We've had David Binkledon. He got screwed in his fight against Phil.
Phil Norman. Against Phil Norman. Yeah, I saw the fight.
He definitely got screwed. And then you had Olivier versus Brad Pickett in the rematch, where Olivier was allowed to grab the fence in order to maintain top position. In our interview with Brad, we broke down to him like he loses his teeth in that fight, and we're like, Brad, you got screwed, and the referee was in on it, the promoter was in on it, and you can see like he realized right then that we were telling him the truth. So Cage Rage is kind of a slippery organization to begin with.
Right. So I get on very well with the promoters.
Who? Which promoters?
So Andy Gear.
Andy seems like the more level-headed of the two. And then there's O'Donnell.
So Dave O'Donnell, he comes across as a big flashy showman and, a bit of a car salesman.
He's coked up. He comes up as somebody that is so coked up, you can't even bring him down to the planet in order to have a normal conversation with him.
So listen, Dave O'Donnell, I understand why you say that. Really nice guy. I've got a lot of time for Dave.
Most coke dealers are nice guys.
I don't know anything about that. I'm not gonna. I don't know.
Neither do I.
I'm not gonna. No, I genuinely, I don't. I would say. Well, maybe I wouldn't, but I genuinely, I can tell you, I don't know anything about any of that. But I get on with him really well. I will say. How do I put it? Yeah, they didn't have regulation there, and I know that maybe a few things were kind of slipping one way or another. It wasn't always on the up and up, I think. I hate to say that because I don't want to shit talk them. They treated me very well. Do I think I was? I mean, Dave O'Donnell didn't. I mean, he didn't judge the fight. John Kavanagh judged that fight. And he said to me after, he goes, we kind of wanted to give it you, but we couldn't. And whatever, mate. You called it the way you saw it. I'm not gonna blame you or anything. I thought I did okay in that fight. I thought I did better than losing every round. Did you dominate the fight? No, absolutely not.
But you did this much more than Emmanuel did, and I thought you won the fight.
I know that maybe we want to cut time short pretty soon, so I don't want to drag it out. But in that fight, it was really new at the time, and I'd been speaking with Eddie Bravo by messenger, and I rubber guarded Emmanuel Fernandez in the first round, and I put an omoplata on and flipped him. And the commentators are saying, "Oh yeah, really good move by Emmanuel to almost try and pass the guard there and you're on another planet." I just fucking schooled him there with that jiu-jitsu. Now, I'm not at that point in the fight. I'm not saying that I necessarily dominated, but at that point, nobody knew what I was to him because he was black belt. My grappling good, and we're doing stuff that people couldn't appreciate at the time. They shouldn't have been judging.
I agree with you on that.
Some of these people shouldn't have, not John Kavanagh maybe, but some of these people shouldn't have been judging fights, right? They didn't.
But John Kavanagh at that time absolutely had an eye to understand that you clearly won that fight. Somebody going for 2 guillotine attempts that don't work in a flurry, does that really win 3 rounds unanimously?
John Kavanagh is a friend of mine. We'd fought at that point, and we trained together as well.
I think you fought afterward.
No, we fought before that.
I got my notes. You know what? I'm telling you, your record is not correct online now. Okay. There's some issues with your record online. So if I skipped ahead, I apologize, but I have it right there according to the date. So
no, I thought so that fight was that fight with Emmanuel Fernandez was after 2004.
Okay.
For sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And John and I were already friends at that point, and because we met for the first time in our fight. So John and I were already friends at that point. So we'd already fought and we trained together as well. So anyway, I don't want to labor this.
Yeah.
Maybe I won that fight. I'm not gonna cry over it. Maybe I won some fights I shouldn't have won. So who knows? There are a lot of fights that you've missed. I've had.
Here. You fought a future WEC vet, October 14, 2001 Millennium Brawl, Bendy Casimir.
Yes.
That's not an easy one. I mean, it's.
No, that was a thank God I beat him. It was the UK versus France. That was the way that was set up. And these French guys came over, and the first few guys that fought were kickboxers, and the English guys had done quite well against them. So I thought, okay, so I don't know anything about this Bendy and Casimir. He's going to be a kickboxer. So I've gone out and I thought, okay, I'm going to try and look for my openings on his strikes. And the fucker took me down. I was like, whoa, that's confident of him.
He's a tri-style jiu-jitsu guy. I don't know about that.
Of course he is. Of course, he's a very good jiu-jitsu player. I didn't know this. I thought he was a kickboxer. I thought he was a French kickboxer. So he's taking me down. I thought, oh, no biggie. He's a kickboxer. I'll submit him on the floor. Shit, he's past my guard, right? I've got to get in this. So I turned it on and I picked him up and I slammed him. And Phil Norman was a referee. The guy you said that David Bilkhoden fought. I like Phil, and he's a good guy. And I'm trying to choke Bendy. I managed to get on top of him. I take his back in the first round. I'm trying to choke him, and he grabs my gloves. So I said to Phil, Phil, he's got hold of my gloves. You need to make him let go. And he looked on me, he goes, I can't see. And I thought, oh, that's no good. But if you can't see, then you won't see this. And I've run my hands across his eyes. Thought, one good foul deserves another.
It's true.
So I think you're going to grab my gloves, I'm going to make you pay for it. So anyway, second round, I get done over. I come out and I flying knee him in the face, and he takes me down again. And I'm thinking, this guy's definitely not a kickboxer, he's a grappler. And I probably lost the second round. I sat there under butterfly guard. And in the third round, he's on top of me again. But the rules were, if it went the distance, you get a draw. So his corner had said to him, 1 minute to go, he's going to get a draw. You're going to get a draw. You've got to finish it. So he's tried to spin an armbar on me. I've used that to get on top of him. I've choked him out, choked him unconscious. I didn't realize he was unconscious, but he stopped moving. And I've mounted him. He didn't tap. And so I got mount and just started fucking hitting him. I thought, I've got like 30 seconds to win this fight. And I just started fucking smashing him. And he tapped. And he said afterwards that he was unconscious and he woke up to being punched in the face. Now that's obviously going to be unpleasant. So
Phil Norman refereed that whole match, never saw a thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to shit talk Phil because Phil's a cool guy.
It's okay.
And here,
but yeah,
David Bilkeden, his fight against David Bilkeden, it was a heroic effort on his end. So, I mean, let's not. I would absolutely say this to O'Donnell's face. I'd say this to Phil Norman's face. Phil Norman is a legit pioneer. I have the utmost respect from your country. I just don't think he won his fight against David Bilkeden. That's
Agreed.
it.
He lost that fight. He lost it pretty handily. Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah,
he is a very, very tough competitor.
Yeah.
So November 18, 2001, hook and shoot. Miguel jumps on your radar again to fight 155-pound champion, the little giant Phil Johns.
Yeah. So are you asking me or are you asking Miguel?
I'm asking you, brother.
Okay. So they asked me to fight I fought some guy who had never had a fight on hook and shoot on a day's notice. And next thing they want me to fight for their title. Amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. My correct weight class was probably 135 pounds, really. That's what I ended up ending my career on. I didn't know anything about weight cutting. And I don't know if it made a difference in this fight, but Phil was a wrestler and I wasn't. He took me down for fun. I hit him a few times on the feet. He hit me a lot on the ground. And I think at some point I tried to armbar him and I ended up just getting set about for 3 rounds. And he couldn't stop me, I suppose, but I got punched around a lot for 3 rounds.
Phil was a lot to handle. So
yeah,
Phil, I mean, he was, a very large 155er, like short in stature, but very just a big-bodied 155er. And you're listed as Ashford Valley Judo Club. Did you change? So you changed.
So that was just what we started. I lived in Ashford and we started doing Valley Judo, so we called it Ashford Valley Judo, and that's what we did.
Okay.
So yeah, and when I fought Phil, I was fighting out of there. Yeah. He, again, a really nice guy, lovely guy. Phil spoke to me beforehand. He said, "Look, I was quite nervous," and he said, "Look, I'm going to come out before every round. I'm going to touch gloves," and he did. He was just a really nice guy. And of course, I'd seen him fighting in other events and stuff, so he was quite well known as a fighter. So I was a little bit starstruck, to fight him. But I went after him. I tried to fight him. I tried to beat him, but I couldn't. And then I got, sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say, because then after that, really cool of them, Hook and Shoot asked me to fight for their 145 title. I thought, well, I'm coming off a loss on your show, so that's pretty cool, right? I think I'd fought in the UFC by then, though.
Your next bout is actually in the UFC. So you go from a hook and shoot, Phil Johns, a loss to Phil Johns, and you get invited to UFC 38 against Genki Sudo, who is, he's a mystical fighter.
Yeah, so I'd seen his tapes. Like, I knew he did flying triangles and stuff, so at least I avoided that. Just about. He threw one at me, but I saw it just at the nick of time. Because I watched his tape, and he does the overhook and controls the wrist and then jumps. And in the fight, he got me against a fence and he overhooks me. I'm like, why has he got an overhook against it? Oh, flying triangle. So I managed to get my hand up in time, and he's jumped the triangle, and I got my hand in. I managed to get out of that. It didn't last much longer than that. He beat me up.
Yeah, he's got crazy entrances. This is your first UFC, UFC appearance.
My only, yeah.
Your only, yeah. Was there a little bit of jitters?
Oh, loads, really, really bad. Like, I used to get nerves quite a lot before fights, and like I didn't like it. I didn't like fighting. I just kind of felt pressure to do them. Like, if the UFC asks you to fight, you don't say no. But I mean, I wasn't ready at all. That was I wasn't ready for that fight in the slightest. But I was the number one lightweight in the UK, and they were coming to the UK, so it made sense to have me on the card. Also, I'd had the highest profile in the UK, maybe outside of Ian Freeman, because I'd been on some TV shows for fighting in the UK. So it made sense for them to put me on there. But
you think you were also sponsored by Victory Athletics, Victory J at this point?
Well, so I was told, I didn't speak to them directly. I was told by my manager that they would give me £500 to wear their shorts. So I said, okay. So I put the shorts on, and I never saw any money. But I don't know if I got lost somewhere.
Who was your manager?
That was Julian at the time.
Okay.
That I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another big name. So you went from Phil Johns to Genki Sudo. Your third opponent, Ultimate Combat 1, March 10th, 2002, is none other than famous trainer John Kavanagh.
That was before the UFC.
Man, I'm telling you, your record's messed up then.
Okay.
This is not on me, Miguel. Cade Swallows, please slow down. You have to ease off your keyboard. This is not on me. So go ahead.
I got Phil Johns November 2001, John Kavanagh March 2002, the UFC July 2000. So
yeah,
looks like it was a bounce back fight before getting the call to the UFC.
Yeah, that's
on this other
right.
record.
Yeah.
So walk us through the John Kavanagh bout.
I mean, it was a split decision, really, really close. He was the best fighter out of Ireland. I was the best fighter out of the UK, and we fought on the event. He was good. I was decent, and a regular MMA fight. I out wrestled him. He was. He put me in submissions, and I got out of them. I tried a couple on him. He got out of them. I kicked his leg a lot. I bruised his leg pretty bad. I think he said he had trouble walking for like a few weeks afterwards. And I did out wrestle him. He had some good moves though. It was a very close fight. His boxing was better than mine. When we became friends after the fight, and we trained together afterwards. And the same submissions that he tried in the fight that I got out of, he caught me in sparring repeatedly. And at one point, it was getting so bad. I was being so embarrassed by getting destroyed. I kind of tried to save face, and I said to him, I said, John, you are catching me all the time. I don't want to sound rude, but I don't think it would happen in a fight, though. I think I'd be able to get out of these if I was really fighting hard. And he said, yeah, we did that. Oh yeah, sorry. But I didn't think about that.
So you had the doubt, not him. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was just killing me in training. Just absolutely, just like, he must have thought, why have I come to train with Lee? This is embarrassing. He was submitting me every minute. Yeah. So I just tried to save some face because he'd flown over to train with me. Yeah. But yeah, the fight was a regular MMA fight. Pretty skilled, I think. We had some boxing, we had some kickboxing, we had some wrestling, we had some jiu-jitsu. Yeah, it was a pretty good fight.
The referee was everything was very new, even though
the referee in that fight was shit. The referee was fucking shit in that fight. Yeah, for both of us, he fucked us both over. He did fuck John over as well. John had me in a good position. We were near the ropes, and the rest.
He had you in like a headlock, was punching you, and he stopped him in order to stand you guys up. He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah. And I absolutely acknowledge that John at one point in that fight was really screwed out of it. I'm not going to say he could have won from there, but
no,
he had me in a good position, and he got screwed out of that good position. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it was really strange. And then when he announced the winner, he raises the wrong hand. Bruce Buffer was the ring announcer.
Bruce is a really nice guy. Bruce was really cool. I like Bruce. Yeah, because I met him at that event, and then when we went to the UFC, we're announcing the fighters. He announced my name, and he looked up and he, oh, hi Lee. I think, wow, Bruce Buffer remembers me. Yeah, that's really cool.
So for the hook and shoot 145-pound title against Victor Estrada, you're listed as, I think you're out of the London Shootfighters at that time.
So yes, I trained with them for the UFC. I trained in London Shoot for that. They were probably one of the bigger gyms in the UK at the time, and they were like
kind of like if I had to kind of frame it for everybody in the United States, they were kind of like the Miletich fighting systems, except
yeah, probably in
Europe.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I went to train with them because that was the best training. And so when I went over to fight Victor Estrada, I got really lucky with that fight because I think Miguel initially set me up with Hermes Franca.
Yes.
Who would have beat the brakes off me. And I didn't know anything about him.
Huge size difference between you two, for sure.
Well, I mean, it's 145. I mean, I was
Hermes is not making 45. There's no way.
Well, he would have had to. It was a title fight.
He's made it. The thing is, it is what it is. He dropped out and moved on. And
well, I think he went to the UFC.
Yeah, so he got called to the UFC. So then they had to replace him, and so they got in Anthony. Sorry, I forget Anthony's surname.
Hamlet.
Anthony Hamlet. So I've been punched so many times. Sorry. Yeah, Anthony Hamlet. So I was asked to fight Anthony Hamlet. So I said, okay. I'd kind of seen Anthony previously, or I knew of him. And yeah, okay, I'll fight Anthony Hamlet. He's all right. He's decent enough. He wasn't as athletic as me. He was probably a better wrestler than me. Not as good a striker. So I think it could probably use my athleticism, and he's taking short notice at this point. So then Anthony's then decided the notice was too short and he backed out. So his student was Victor, and so Victor stepped in. And so when I've got out there, I've met up with Anthony, and he said, look, I want to apologize. He goes, I just didn't feel like ready for it. I said, look, mate, you don't have to explain. I understand. It sounded like a good idea. It's a title fight, but the reality is you're fighting me on short notice when I've prepared for it and you haven't. And I'm not necessarily going to be an easy fight. He said, that's all it was. And I took it as a sign of respect. So don't beat yourself up. He said, that's all it was, so thank you for taking it the right way. And we were cool. No issue there. I understood, So then Victor stepped in on short notice. Well, fair play to the guy, because he didn't have the best record. And I got really lucky with that, because that was for a title fight in hook and shoot, which was a really prestigious title. For the smaller weight classes, that was one of the biggest ones in the world, the hook and shoot title.
For sure. I would even argue that was really the only 145-pound title in existence with actual merit. Would you not agree with that, Miguel?
I mean, maybe in Japan they had some good stuff.
Yeah, we had some. Anthony Hamlet had held a version of that belt. He's a Dennis Hallman from that group out west, so they have a lot of pedigree there. And he had a bout with Jeff Curran. These are quality top fighters from the era. That actually stayed with it for a long time. Jeff and Anthony are both teaching now. So Victor maybe was a little bit of a notch below, but you put your work in with the organization, and you still, believe it or not, now at the time, you said you weren't paid and stuff like that for other fights, and we were paying you a little bit. So but nothing equates bringing over a British fighter, bringing over the weight class, and you came with a lot of good credibility, and being very good. So we had Ian, he fought on a card with Ian and then Lee, and I like to bring guys back. So it all
I'm going to say,
like me. I didn't even realize you had fought for me so much.
Yeah, well, I fought for you again after that against Mike Brown. But what I'm going to say, what you guys did for me, I'm going to tell you things, because I remember stuff like this. I'm going to tell you some of the things that stuck with me. One, you gave me a shot on your event on a day's notice, which was brilliant. I love that. But one time my flight got messed up, and I ended up going to the wrong airport. And so and they said, your flight's from Gatwick, you're at Heathrow. And I was like, oh, fuck, well, I would never get to Gatwick in 20 minutes. So I had to fly the next day and I had to pay a fee for it. And I came across and I said to you guys, sorry, I came a day late. I had to pay an extra fee. And you came back to my room later that day and you said, look, here's some money just to make it right. And I was like, well, you didn't have to do that. I really appreciate that. And you said, look, it's the right thing to do, though. Those were your words. Your words were, it's the right thing to do. And you gave me the money to make up for, you probably don't remember at all, but you gave me the money to make up for the flight that I had to pay for that I'd missed. What you also did for me is you flew me out. I kind of blagged it a bit. I told you I need longer to acclimatize. I said, the jet lag's going to kill me. You said you'd fly me out for a week beforehand. I said, I want 10 days to get used to it. And you said, okay. And you flew me out to Florida and put me up in a hotel for 10 days. That was incredible. That was an experience. I get to fly across the world. I'm going to Florida. The sun's out. You know, it's winter, but it's super hot. You know, and I'm here for 10 days. You know, me and my corner man Gaz Roriston, we're going out and seeing Fort Lauderdale, seeing Miami. You know, I mean, you guys treat me really, really well. You know, and I never got stiffed by you. You know, you never fucked me over. You know, which is unfortunately, that's actually something to be proud of in MMA as a promoter.
Yeah,
right?
have you ever been stiffed?
I appreciate it.
I've been stiffed loads. Yeah.
Have you ever been stiffed by a promoter?
Yeah, of course I have. Yeah, loads. I mean, that's MMA, right?
Can you give us an example?
Okay. Yeah. Turned up to an event and the promoter said, well, I haven't sold enough tickets, so I'm going to have to kind of charge a matchmaking fee of 17.5%. What the fuck? Well, you know, you don't have to fight. Well, fuck you, we're here now. Right, yeah, we're going to fight, but we're not going to fight again. And the guy phoned me up and he said, do you want to, and he phoned me and he goes, like after he said, I've got another match for you. Do you want to take the fight? I said, no, I'm not interested in fighting. Thank you. And I was polite and that was it. And he goes, is it because of that 17.5%? I said, yeah, it is. Well, fuck you. Who do you think you're talking to? Fuck. So I put the phone down and he phoned me back and he goes, don't you fucking hang up on me. I'll come down there and break your legs. Put the phone down again. Right?
Who was the promoter?
Andy Jardine. Yeah. I get on with him now. You know,
but the stripes on that zebra aren't going to change. That's who he is. You might get along with him, but it is what it is.
Look, I get on with the guy now, you know, so I don't want to burn bridges. Well, no bridges to burn. I'm not going to fight for me anymore. But, you know, yeah, that happened. I've had other fights where, you know, I was meant to fight on on Cage Warriors. I don't want to throw them under the bus because they've been good to me as well. But they told me that they had a fighter come in from the US. And I said, okay, do I weigh in day before or same day? And they said, it has to be same day. I said, I normally like day before. No, it has to be same day. So I said, okay, same day. So I got my weight down. The guy comes over on the day of the fight and I look at him, he's massive. And I've said, well, you're not going to make weight. We're weighing in at 12 today. He goes, I weighed in yesterday. So I've gone, what? I've gone to the promoter. When did he weigh in? Oh, he weighed in this morning. I said, no, he didn't. He weighed in yesterday. You're trying to fuck me over. I'm not fighting him. Right. So,
but that's your right as a fighter. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do.
I got quite a lot of blowback on that. A lot of people criticizing me. Well, you should have fought him anyway. And then if you lost, you could then say because of the weight. Fuck you. And you know, and they're saying, oh, people pay good money to see that fight. I don't give a fuck. If I pay good money to see you fight a gorilla, doesn't mean you have to do it. Right.
But it's not your fault. It's the promoter being a scumbag. Yeah.
I never give away weight if it's not if people miss weight. I've given away weight if it's agreed, but I've refused to fight guys who are half a pound over out of principle. Because if I give you half a pound, the next guy wants a pound, then the next guy wants 5 pounds. No, you make weight. I've made weight. It's not my job to babysit you now. It's not my job to negotiate this. I've made weight. You fucking make weight or I don't fight. Now I'm in a fortunate position where I wasn't getting paid much money and I'm an engineer. So I don't need the 200 pounds or whatever they're going to fucking pay me. I don't need that money. So I'm in a fortunate position to be able to say that. And so I kind of made a bit of a reputation where if you fight Lee, you better make weight, you know?
It's fair. Well, but Lee, I'd like Miguel one more. I got one more question.
And I've been stiffed by other promoters as well, but we'd be here all night.
Yeah, right. On the undercard, Rick Davis, future UFC vet, fought Cage Swallows. Do you recall that fight? Watching that fight?
No. Which event was this?
That was on the that hook and shoot fight.
Okay, so let me think. Who
This is the
were
Victor
they?
Estrada show.
Right. Okay.
Kate
I probably
Swallows
didn't-
got knocked out by Rick Davis. Do you remember watching that?
No, I would have been warming up. I imagine if they were on the undercard, I'd have been warming up. And
That's too bad.
right, because
Mike's
the commission
picking
in
a
Florida.
fight with Cade. Mike's picking a fight with Cade. He can't win.
You know what it is? We get this guy, he leaves us reviews all the time, and I'm always on the receiving end of his abuse. So
And
I'm
he
going to be
actually is a
interviewing
fighter,
people from
so-
the audience about that fight. I need to relive it through them.
No, I know. I did. So, like, I remember. No, this is a long time ago. This is 2003 or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
03.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
March 20.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember this, and as I said, I've been hit a lot. So the Florida Commission was the first time that I'd seen a real athletic commission, a proper one. They were really cool. But they had some rules, and you had to stick by them. And that was that when you went backstage, you couldn't come back out because they couldn't track you, which I guess made sense. And you could only bring water back with you as well. If you're going to eat and drink, do it now. When you go back to warm up, you go backstage. You can only drink water and you can't come back out. So I wouldn't have got to see any fights until after my fight.
Okay.
And because I was,
That's
Sorry?
me busting chops for somebody that listens often. So
But
June
let
8th.
me jump back a little bit into the business part of it, because
Sure.
I appreciate what Lee says, and it kind of gives me a strong feeling about like the formula, because watch what happens here. He shows up at the show, says, "Yeah, I'll fight. Give me a fight." I find out about him. The guy's obviously got skills, so he's got a real record. So he gets a title fight against Phil. Now, all of a sudden, that other fight wasn't so much of a gift as it was a buildup. Now, that seems to have happened again here, because Victor, you get a title fight, you get bought over 10 days, but then you get Mike Brown. And, I can't pay you enough to fight Mike Brown, but we can give you a couple of little props and preps in order for you to feel good about the fight. And I think you did feel good about the fight going in. Yeah. So that's the whole mission accomplished of matchmaking, is setting up the playing field. So I've already got trust. I'm probably telling him Mike Brown's a house, but it's a title fight and you're the champion. And for Brown, it looks much better. Hey, I had an international opponent when I won my title, or whatever, if it went that way.
yeah, I mean,
so that's matchmaking.
yeah, and I'd fought in the UFC at that point, and the fight with Mike Brown, I lost it, but I mean, on the record, it was a split decision.
Here's the thing about that fight, Lee. You had Mike. You
I
put
lost
Mike Brown in a position that I've never seen Mike in, and that's on his back. You had Mike on his back on several different occasions.
Yeah, one of them I cheated. I grabbed the ropes. I don't know I haven't seen the fight on video, but I cheated. I grabbed the ropes and pulled him out. He was on top of me, and I reached across and I grabbed a rope and I pulled myself on top of him. Sorry, Mike. But I did legitimately take him down. You're right. I think I used underhooks, and I haven't seen the fight. I'm only going by memory of being in the fight. So I did underhook him and take him down. I think he beat the shit out of me. Right. In the third round, I couldn't move, and I'm just trying to not get stopped, and I don't want the referee to stop the fight. So I'm just trying to turn my back a little bit to make him change position, so I'm not getting just stopped. I was so exhausted, but I did well in the first round. I think two of the judges gave the first round to me. I can't remember how it went. I didn't see that. I can't say if that's true or if that's accurate, because I haven't seen it. The second round, I'm pretty sure I lost. I think one judge still gave it to me, so he gave me a win on the record on the scorecard, which wasn't deserved. I acknowledge I lost that fight. And then one gave him every round, and then one guy gave me the first round and him the other two, which it's better than I can hope. It sounds really good. Mike beat
a really good fight.
He was the WEC champion. I had a tough fight with him. I can legitimately say I had a fight with the guy that was a tough fight against a phenomenal elite A-class world fighter. And I was in the mix,
He's a world champion, a future world champion that knocked out Uriah Faber in spectacular fashion.
Yep, and I held my own with the guy. I lost, and I acknowledge I lost, and I don't argue that in the slightest. But I was in that mix and not embarrassing myself there, really. Doing all right. So I can't ask for more than that.
Were
Really.
you with,
looking back?
Were you with Kettles and Medway submissions at that time?
Not at that point, I don't think. Maybe I might have been. So Kettles is a Thai boxing gym out of near London, and they were kind of pioneering Muay Thai in the UK for many years, for decades. So I went and trained with them, and they were really cool guys and taught me a lot of Thai boxing. Medway submission was just a bit of a fun club with guys. They actually wrestled, and they did some catch wrestling there, and they were just nice old boys. And I turned up and just trained with them a little bit and thought I'd give them a shout out. Right, that was it. But they were really nice guys, and I got some cool wrestling with them.
So right around this time, like,
sorry, yeah,
we had MMA.TV was like the big message board at this point for us. You know, mostly Americans, Canadians, and Europeans would get involved. But the hardcore European message board at this time was the Cage Warriors Forum.
Right, before that, it was SFUK, and then it became.
I wasn't familiar with that, but I was familiar with the Cage Warriors.
That was the big one. SFUK was the first. They were the pioneers. Bunch of fucking dickheads they were, but yeah, they were the first.
So Lee makes a post about Danny Batten.
oh my days. Yes, I forgot about it.
Well, why don't you let our audience know? Because I'm like a super friggin' nerd in regards to this stuff. So I was reading these message boards.
You've watched my fights. You've read this. I mean, you've done your homework here. Yeah. I mean, we agree with this interview earlier today. You've done some homework.
He's only challenged by the calendar. He can't seem to keep things in order. But other than that, he's phenomenal work.
Yeah, he's done well here. Okay, so Danny Batten. Right, so we were asked to fight a few times. Okay. And it just, for some reason or another, it would fall through. I can't remember. Maybe I had an injury one time, and then he had an injury another time, and then the show didn't happen, or something like this. And it just bounced around. But he was a good fighter. But when I'd seen him fight, he was a lot smaller than me to begin with, and I would have beaten him up at one point. Now he got a bit bigger and he got a lot better, and at this point, I don't know if I would have beaten him. He got a lot better. He got a lot better, and he fought, and I think he won the Cage Warriors title, and he was shit hot at that point. And I don't know if I could have beaten him then. At the time, I thought I could, because I'd seen him previously, and I was confident I could have beaten what I'd seen previously. But he did get a lot better. He left his coach, and he moved to better places and got a lot better. So we were meant to fight, and he'd been calling me out for a while, and we kept trying to get set up. And so eventually I've agreed to this fight. The money was right. The timing was right. We're going to fight. And he gets an injury and he pulls out. And I get told he's injured. He can't fight. And I say, okay, well, I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope he gets better soon. And then I asked, so, what's the injury? We're not telling you. And I said, but, that's kind of fucking rude. If you're going to pull out without giving me a valid reason, you're saying, right. And that's his right. He doesn't have to tell me anything. But then I also have a right to question it. And you don't have to answer, but I've got the right to ask questions, and you've got the right to not answer. So I was like, well, what's the injury? Well, and in fairness, it wasn't him. He was always quiet. I think he had a nickname, Silent Assassin, because he would just keep quiet. He didn't want to get involved in the politics or anything. But some of his mates, or one of his friends in particular, was coming on there and trying to troll me and saying he doesn't have to answer himself to you, and he would have beaten you. And I said, well, he wouldn't, would he? He'd have fucking got smashed. I'd have beaten his face in. I'd have beaten him like a dog or something like that. I'd be really, really rude, saying I'd have smashed him up. I don't even believe he's injured. Right? I think he's running scared just because this guy was being obnoxious. So I thought I'd just abuse him. And I made a post and I said, is Danny Batten really injured? And it just blew up on the forum. And this guy went crazy and was, you have no right to question, and really attacking me. And I'm biting back. And actually, I can't even remember any more than the title, other than it went on for something like, I don't know, what's like 1,000 posts. It was really, really big.
Years. It went on for years. And
it became like, within UK MMA trolling, it became really phenomenal. At one point, someone created a Wikipedia page for me, which has been taken down now. And that was the highlight of it, like about me trolling him on this forum.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, and I can't give you much more details than that, other than it got huge. It got like 1 million views or something, and I don't know, it was massive. Yeah. Which back in the day, for a pissant little sport like message board was really quite big. But I can't tell you much more because it was like 20 years ago and I don't remember.
Right. Yeah.
Lee, let me ask you. You mentioned a couple London Shootfighters, and am I wrong? But I don't remember their names. But there were like a couple of twin guys. Like there were twins that kind of ran that were the grappling end.
So they weren't twins, or maybe I'm thinking someone else. But there was Alexis.
Yeah, that's them.
Yeah.
So, but there was somebody who looked a lot like him, his brother or something.
Mario or Marius. I can't.
Okay.
I think he used both names, but yeah. He's a really nice guy. Now Paul, he fought on Hook and Shoot, I believe, in '97. What's his surname? Why is his name escaping me? I have been punched so many times. Because Paul's a friend. Paul Ivans.
Okay.
Yeah, he fought on Hook and Shoot.
I don't remember the name. I don't remember everybody. But the other guy I wanted to ask about associated from over there was a Polish kid named Robert Sulski, who had moved over there, and he was like a really strong grappler. Do you remember running into him in the old days? Yeah,
so he was ahead of his time at grappling. He actually said to me one time, because we got on, and we were chatting at training, and he said to me, "Oh, you look excited for Pride this weekend." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, this guy, Emelianenko, Fedor Emelianenko, he's fighting Minotauro." I said, "Well, okay, Minotauro is going to win because Minotauro is the best in the world. He's one guy that could submit Mark Coleman, which nobody could submit Mark Coleman." I said, and Minotauro's like he armbarred him or something, right? I said, Minotauro is phenomenal. He's legitimately using black belt jiu-jitsu in MMA fights at a high level. And Rob Solsky says to me, "No, I think Fedor's going to beat," because I've trained Fedor and he's a really good grappler and I think he's going to win. Really? He's going to out grapple Minotauro? No. And well, I mean, history tells us what happened, right? Beat the shit out of him. beat the living shit out of him, right? So yeah, Rob knew that one. Yeah. I didn't know Rob really well, but he was always a very pleasant guy. Really known for his very good leg lock game and his grappling in general.
Okay, let me slip in Michael Bisping. What was he like on the regional scene?
Really good. He was incredible. And you didn't see it in the UFC. They called him like pillow hands, but he has explosive knockout power. He was known for really being really a hard hitter. He punched really hard. He kicked and kneed, and he was a really good fighter. Yeah, he fucked up everyone over here. He just fucked up everyone. So
he fought Mark Epstein a couple times.
Yeah.
Were you training at the London Shootfighters when he fought Mark Epstein?
No. I know Mark. I like Mark a lot. He really respect. To look at him, you wouldn't think so, and to hear his accent maybe, but really respectful guy. Really nice, really pleasant, really polite guy. Mark's a really nice guy.
We've tried to get him on here a couple times. He won't do it.
I haven't seen him on Facebook. Hopefully, over the COVID thing, he kind of went a bit anti-vax, and I've kind of alienated a lot of people because I'm quite pro-vax, and I've alienated. So I'm fortunate. I've alienated a lot of people who are, a bit more right-wing and a bit more anti-vax, and it's unfortunate. I think he was kind of he wasn't right-wing, but he was more about freedom. He didn't like the lockdowns, and I hope I didn't fall out with him over it. I don't think I did, but. Maybe he's come off Facebook or maybe he's blocked me. I don't know. But I was on with him.
So right around this time in London, or UK, I should say, there's a lot of moving parts, man. Like there is a lot of moving parts. You had mentioned Lee Murray, one of the All-Stars, $80 million bank heist. Yep. There's a lot of things happening. Michael Bisping kind of gives there's a famous YouTube video where he talks about some of the gangsters going over to his mom's house and trying to intimidate him by going to his family houses. Where does this come from? What was the expectation of Michael Bisping? If you feel free, comfortable commenting on that.
So I can't say anything about that. I don't know. I never had any. I know that obviously Lee Murray was a gangster, and I knew that when I knew him. I didn't ask him about it. I didn't get involved in any of it. And I never had really any issue with any of that. I never had much of an interaction with it. Other than one of his friends once punched me for no reason. But aside from that, you know, I trained with Lee a couple of times. You know, he was cool with me. We'd go out for food and he'd always pay. And I'd say, you know, you don't have to. He goes, no, I always pay for my friends. It's all right.
That's a gangster move, man.
We like Lee. I mean, for the record, I mean, we've had, you know, people like Jeremy Horn on, and, you know, they've all talked about him, and they said, no, man, the guy was great training partner. You know, that's what they all say.
Yeah.
You know, whatever he was.
I mean, I know some stories about him. I mean, as you can imagine, don't fuck with him, right? I mean, but his gangster buddies were quite nasty. They do things like, really intimidate people and bully them and stuff. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them would do that. But Lee wasn't into that. I mean,
were you at that Tito fight?
Sorry?
Were you at the Tito fight when Lee and Tito went at it?
No, I'd fought Genki and I just kind of wanted to get back to my bed. I hadn't seen my girlfriend for a little while, so me and my girlfriend went back to the hotel room and I just went to sleep. And my corner man came back the next day and said, "You fucking missed an amazing night." He told me all about it. But if Lee had a problem with you, he'd just beat the shit out of you, right? But I mean, you had to get on the wrong side of him. You know, he didn't go out picking fights with people. You know, he didn't do that. You know, I never fell out with the guy. He was always all right with me. I didn't hang out with him a ton, but I did go training with him, and he was cool with me. And I would never see him hitting people.
I'll tell you a funny story. At the final Bodog run we had, not me, but one of the creative people we had along there was actively trying to reach him, Lee Murray, for while he was in jail in Morocco, I think it was. I don't know, you know, if he wanted, he's still in Morocco, so he's still in jail in Morocco. Okay. Yeah, he was trying to reach him there through cards and say he wanted to go there with cameras. I don't know if he was just trying to scam a trip or what he wanted to do, but there was actively a budget requested for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Too bad I didn't. Now I was against it, but too bad I didn't pull it off. Now I regret it. You know?
Yeah.
So February 15th, 2004, Cage Rage 5, you fought Jean Silva.
Yeah. Is that the first fight?
Pardon me?
That's one. Is that the first fight?
Yes.
Yeah. So he kicked me in the head and knocked me out.
You know, he had a very aggressive, like style, like offensive style. Was there a weight issue at that fight?
So they wanted me to. So Cage Rage would kind of bitch at me a little bit because they said I was jumping weight classes and I was picking weight classes that didn't suit my opponents. But that's not really the case. What happened was, so I fought a lad from Scotland who was pretty good, but he was light. And they said to me, and they wanted me to fight him at 145. But they were doing same day weigh-in. So I said, if it's same day weigh-in, I'm going to fight him at 155. I'm not going to do a 145 same day weigh-in. And they said, well, that's a bit unfair. I said, well, I mean, find someone else to fight me. He doesn't have to fight me, you know.
It's true.
You know, yeah. I mean, this is Paul McVeigh, and he was a Cage Warriors champion and stuff afterwards. But this fight, he was light. Right, and he wanted to fight at 145, and I would have fought him at 145 with the day before weigh-in, but they were insisting on same day. Well, then we fight at 155, and I still weighed in at 150. I didn't cut to 155 or anything. I weighed in at 150. He weighed in at a bit less than me, and I was bigger. Yeah, absolutely. But don't take the fight then. You don't have to. You know, but it wasn't me trying to fight. I wasn't forcing him to fight in a heavier weight class to be a prick. I would have done 145 with the day before weigh-in, which is what I always fought at. I fought at 155 same day or 145 day before.
That's very reasonable. Or find somebody your size. Yeah.
Yeah. So then they said, right, we want you to fight Jean Silva. And I said, okay, day before or same day. And they said day before. I said, okay, so 145. And they go, no, he wants to do 155. I said, because he's going to come back in at like 165, 170. Right. And I'm walking at 155. I walk at 155. Same day, I'll fight 155. Or we do day before 145. And they were, okay. And there's a bit of a hoo-ha about it. I've always said the same thing. Day before 145, same day 155. That was you. That was but I mean, so they said okay. So yeah, then I fought him at 145. Yeah, and he knocked me out.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, obviously, it is what it is. It's something that happens when you step through that cage. But now let's talk about the rematch, July 10th, 2004.
No, I fucking won. I beat the shit out of him.
Oh no, wait.
Not beat the shit out of him, but I fucking won that fight.
Wait, I apologize. The rematch was February 26, 2005.
Yeah, and I fucking beat him up. And I should have been the Cage Rage champion. I'm a little bit salty about that one.
Okay, so Miguel, we're back to Cage Rage again. Lee obviously is friends with these individuals because he's got to see them. But dude, first round, you edged it out for sure. Like I think you won the first.
I cracked his arm with an armbar.
Yes, you edged out that first round, and it's at 155. 155. So you went up a weight class
on short notice as well. Right. Yeah, 2 weeks. I was training to fight Robbie Olivier at 145, and they said to me, but I kept pushing for a rematch with Jean Silva, which I didn't deserve. I get it, he knocked me out, but I kept pushing for it. And then his opponent pulled out. Robbie, I think, was out maybe as well.
You were supposed to fight Chris Brennan, I believe.
No, I've never been lined up to fight Chris Brennan.
I think that's what they mentioned on the video.
Jean Silva was meant to fight him, or did fight him.
You know what? That's what it was. Original fight was Chris Brennan for Jean Silva. That's what it was. Yes, you're correct. So I think in the second round, he hits a cardio wall, and then you clearly win the third round.
Yeah. I mean, I just set about him. Yeah, I just beat him up.
Miguel, I gave him a draw.
Yeah, it was almost a little bit of a scandal because
a little bit. He had Wanderlei Silva in his corner, and that's pretty much what the judges were watching the entire event.
Yeah. I mean, I won every round, every single round I won.
And you're at Quantum Gym at this time.
Yes. Yeah.
Why are you gym jumping?
So I wasn't gym. I know it looks on my record like I'm doing all this jumping around. It wasn't. I was training with. So I started training in Ash Valley Tudo. Well, I'm training with Jason Fairn, and then he shuts down. Then I'm training at Vince Jauncey's, but this is in Vancouver. So I moved to the UK, and I've got no one to train with. And so I start my own, just a bit of training. But I start getting some success, so I need to train with guys like London Shootfighters and Kettle's Gym. So I start doing some of this stuff. Then I decide, and I become an engineer. I've got my degree. I'm an engineer for a couple of years, and I'm at that age where I'm in my late 20s, and I'm thinking, if I'm going to do it, I've got to do it now. So I got on really well with the guys at Quantum Gym up north. They had some really good boxing, and that was my weaker area. And they had a full-time academy there. So I moved to Yorkshire, spent 2 years training full-time up there, just to give it my last hurrah, I suppose, at an actual professional career. I gave up my job to do this, So then, and it looked like it was going to do well because I fought Jean Silva and beat the shit out of him. Stephen Quadros was there, and he took me backstage, and he said, "Lee, we want to get this on camera." And I said, "No, I don't want to fucking talk to anyone." He goes, I understand how you feel. Absolutely. We want to get your thoughts on it though. Whilst it's fresh in your mind, it's important, I think, that you get your points out. Okay. And and I said, "Oh, fucking yeah," because I was robbed. I mean, I beat the shit out of this guy.
Now, did they give you your win money?
It was a fixed purse. So
okay. All right. So that you got, like, I've got a list of Cage Rage just travesties that, if we get O'Donnell, we get gear on. One, here, let me kind of frame this properly. What they did was amazing. The product that they had, the I think all the lights.
I'm gonna put you out of your misery on this a little bit. I have legitimately seen a fixed fight.
Of course.
I legitimately saw it with my own eyes. I saw a fight get fixed.
Of course. Do you care to say it, or?
It wasn't actually on Cage Rage. And I'm going to be trying to pick on the bus here. It needs to be said though. If you're going to do it, it could be said. And maybe it's on an honest mistake, but it wasn't. I was judging a fight on a smaller event, and one of the guys was training with the elite team, who were the Cage Rage guys they were running a school called Elite, and one of the guys on their show had a fight and he lost, in my opinion. I gave him a loss I gave it to the other guy, and the announcer was, sorry Andy, it was Andy Gear, and Andy announced it as a win. So I went to the other judges and I said, you guys gave it the win? No, we gave it a loss.
Dude, what, you're not saying anything that's crazy. I mean, this is obvious. But now let's play devil's advocate here. Those guys are robbing Peter to pay Paul to bring the biggest organization in your country's history to forefront. So, like, that's no small task either. So we can sit here and go, well, you did, you point your fingers, but devil's advocate.
So listen, right. Yeah, right. No, absolutely. What you're saying is all true, right?
What they gave the people was incredible.
Yeah. And what I'm also going to say is, I know it sounds like, why is Lee still supporting them? They're fixing fights. They're robbing him on his stuff.
It's the game.
But I will also say that they also gave me fights that I asked for. And they sometimes gave me some fights that will really give me fights. One time, one guy he called me out and he didn't deserve a fight with me. And his friend said, I will pay you another £1,000 on top of your purse if you fight him. And Cage Rage said to me, okay, we will let you fight him and we will pay you £1,000 as well. That was cool of them, right? So I fought this guy, beat him in the first round, and I got an extra £1,000. They paid me £1,000 to do it, and he paid me £1,000 on top for a fight that lasted 3 minutes. You know, they were cool with me also. That they gave it.
I agree. Listen, I'm sitting here on the south side of Chicago. I agree with you. Like, I can sit here and point fingers. I can give you names and stuff. But what they did for the European market will never be duplicated on a grassroots level.
They also paid me something mental, like £3,000, I think, for a fight that didn't happen, for the Danny Batten fight that didn't happen. They paid me.
But dude, what they got out of that publicity-wise was incredible.
Okay, but they that was the biggest plus I've ever made in a fight, and I didn't fight. Right. And they paid me.
So
they didn't have to pay me, and they did. They paid me.
And here, I bagged on them with Chris Brennan. I did it with David Binkleton. Like, I've said things, but I will also say, if one of those two would come on, the questions and interview that I had, that would be a very small portion of the interview with some of the incredible accomplishments that they put on, you know, with the local audience, would be a much larger portion of the interview than the things that we've addressed. Well,
I still communicate with them occasionally. You know, if you want me to ask anyone in the anyone in the UK you want to get on, ask me. If I know them, I'll ask them.
Just tell them not to watch this interview. So let me give you a couple more. Here. How about some of the more notorious people? If there is one human being, and I've approached him, I've talked to him, he won't do it, but I believe his story needs to be heard, and that's Paul Kelly.
What do you want me to say about him?
Well, I mean, Paul Kelly. I mean, did you ever interact with him?
A little.
So Paul Kelly fought in the UFC, high levels. He's got a healthy, like a really good business right now in regards to like healthy eating. He's got a gorgeous wife. Obviously, you can see, you know, on his social media. He also went to jail for a little while because he kind of got caught in the undertow of the belly that was kind of supporting the independent scene. And I really wish he would tell his story in his own words.
I don't really know him. He was always polite to me, always pleasant, always respectful. You know, he was, you know, for a criminal gangster, he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen him for a couple of decades, so, you know, or a decade and a half. I mean, what was it, 2005? I would have last seen him, something like that. Then I think he went to prison shortly after that. And I'd only ever see him, you know, just around the scene, you know, at an event. You know, we weren't friends or anything. I mean, we weren't enemies. I mean, we got along okay.
No, he went to jail for several years, and I'll tell you, like, he's still doing well. It was cocaine, wasn't it? He got busted for, and a lot of it, I believe. Yeah. But his story is going to get told, whether he likes it or not. And it's better to come from his mouth rather than somebody else's.
I don't know anything about his story more than that, to be honest.
Okay.
I know that they used to call him like, what do they call him? Two Tellies Kelly, because he was always walking around like he had in England, telly is a television. Right. And so he was always walking around like he had two televisions under his arms. Right. So
what about Rob Boughton? Did you ever interact with him?
Rob Broughton?
Yes.
So not really. Huge guy, right? Heavyweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really. Was he the guy that worked as a nurse? Did I get that right, or have I made that up? Or I think it's
I'm not sure where he worked. I know he's currently in prison right now for a large amount of cocaine as well.
No.
He was the collector.
Someone else. Sorry.
He was the collector. Like whenever somebody owed money, he would show up at the door.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Again, I've been hit so many times, and it's very late here. I mean, it's midnight here, so I'm tired. I've just got back from training, and I've been traveling for work today, so I'm not thinking too clearly. Yeah, sorry.
But thank you for that.
What am I thinking?
No, all right. One more, and we'll get out of here. We're way past our time, obviously. Cage Rage 8, September 11, 2004. Ricky Salan.
That's the guy that I got paid another £1,000 for.
Okay, so he's from the London Shootfighters, and it seemed very personal between you two.
So I didn't think so. I got on with him, and then we come out to fight, and he's shit talked the hell out of me on the screen. He won't touch gloves with me. I'm like, fucking hell, this guy's got a problem. And yeah, so I submitted him pretty quick. He didn't have any grappling.
So you had the Northern Cartel and Team Quantum at that time as well.
So that's still when I was up north. Yeah. That was a bit of a gimme fight. Fun fact. So we made fun of him a little bit too, and a friend of mine made a rap like, I think I'm a ninja. What? I dress up in my pajamas and all this sort of shit, right, guy? And that was my entrance music. Brad Pickett at the time, who wasn't well known at the time, he dressed up in a ninja suit and ran out and climbed over the cage as part of my entrance.
That was Brad Pickett.
Yeah. Running around in the cage, yeah.
Miguel, Lee had a couple really interesting entrances. One of them was like little scooters, them riding around little scooters. And this one, they had ninjas run in and climb the fence and kind of roll around inside the cage. So Brad Pickett was one of those people,
yeah.
Huh?
The scooter one was a bit shit. I thought I was going to come in. My plan was going to come in. I'm going to ride around the scooters and stuff. But what actually happened was I got out there and I was so fired up. Fuck the scooters. And I just kind of tried to ride it out there. And I'm not thinking he got off it and fuck that. Right. But one of my funny entrances I thought was quite good. If you're interested in entrances, was I fought a guy called Gavin Bradley, who had also passed away, unfortunately. It's happened a lot on this show. It
was August 7th, 2004. Pride and Glory was the main event.
Yeah. So, but what we did was we came out to the ring. We did the Sakuraba entrance where three of us had pro wrestling masks on, and I think the fight's on YouTube. And so I'm gonna spoil it for you now. So so my corner man's taken his mask off, and that's not me. And then my other corner man's taken his mask off, and that's not me either. Then I've come out of shadow box, I've taken my mask off, but that's not me either. There's like three guys who aren't me at all. And the music stopped, and the plan was the music will stop for like a couple of seconds. Oh, where's Leigh Remedios? And then I'll come out to the next lot of music. But it seemed like forever. The music stopped. It must have only been about 10 seconds, but it seemed like it's gone dead. The audience are starting, what's going, boo. The fight is like, what the fuck are you guys doing to me? And it's dragged it on, and it's been uncomfortable. And I'm like, guys, just get the music playing. Then they played the music, and then I've come out and I fought. And yeah, so that was, and I think you can see that fight on YouTube, Leigh Remedios versus Gavin Bradley. Gav Bradley.
Yeah, your grappling was way too much for him. It was a title fight.
Yeah. So yeah, I took that on short notice. But I mean, yeah, it's a little bit, that wouldn't sound disrespectful, yeah. I mean, I was more experienced than him. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, for sure. Lee, you also got James Seville. Dude, you've had a fascinating career. Yeah, you had an absolutely fascinating career, an absolute pioneer in the UK market.
Thank you.
Lived in Canada. Yeah.
Sorry?
Fought, lived in Canada, lived in the United States, fought in Ireland, fought in Czech Republic. 5 countries you fought in.
Yeah, I didn't fight in Ireland, actually. I flew over there to fight, and the guy pulled out on the scales, wouldn't make weight.
I thought you fought there. No?
No, guy started crying. And if you cry, because I wouldn't give him a half a pound. I said, well, he's just half a pound. And I said, well, go make the weight then. If it's half a pound. Easy. You can go to my room if you want, and you use my hot tub. Use my bath. No. He started crying and he goes, the UFC and Cage Warriors, they take a percentage if you don't make weight. Why don't you take a percentage of my purse? I said, because I'm being paid 500 fucking quid. A percentage of your purse is fuck all. Go make weight. Right? He wouldn't make half a pound. So I'm not fighting you then. And he started crying. So the fight never happened.
He's like the European version of Keith Wisniewski. Would you not agree, Miguel?
You sign a contract, you got to make weight. I was never bothered by sticklers like that, because in a way I had to be the ultimate
Neutral.
stickler too. I can't let anybody slip, and believe me, you get asked for favors.
If we're not going to make weight, fine. I'll agree to 115 pounds, right? And then I'll roid myself up to 180, and then there's a line.
Guy.
There is a line. Like we say, where do we draw the line? Well, we draw the line at what we agreed, which is the weight limit, right? I mean, be a fucking adult. You're not a child. We agreed. When we have an agreement, be a man or be a woman, and stick to the agreement.
Yeah, we were recommended you from Pat Atkins. He's the one that recommended you as a guest. Man, you've given us more than enough time on very short notice. Sincerely appreciate your time, Lee.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure. And it's great to catch up with Chris again. I haven't spoken to him for a long time, so that's really cool.
He looked happy. Definitely good walking down memory lane, and very good to catch up, man. Thank you very much for the time, and definitely a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Brother. Take care.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Oh, Mike, we got Leigh Remedios in the books, and guess what? We went long.
Well, he carried it too. We had several more fights left to talk about, but we've kind of got the controversial ones out of the way, and he didn't dodge it either.
Yeah, no. He was. I think we found a guy that's been retired long enough that people maybe are starting to maybe not forget, or they haven't. He's meeting people that hadn't seen him compete, and he's fading away a little bit. And nobody's come to talk to him yet. He wanted to talk, and I think it was the kind of thing where, with rapport and stuff like that, with Chris, obviously. Him knowing Chris and me and him having a little bit of background, I think he was comfortable. I think we got a great interview and very forthcoming, great stuff. I didn't know anything about him. I seriously, I thought he was a Filipino because he's got the Latino last name. So it's like, you live and you learn, man. So from top to bottom, an awesome interview.
Yeah, and he fought all over the world too, and he had unique experiences in every country. Yeah. So we were able to kind of map that out as well. Very interesting.
Yeah. And a shout out to, frontline, first level UFC pioneer guys. And when Jason Fairn is where his roots are out in Vancouver for real MMA. So that's all news to me. And I booked them 4 times. So it goes to show.
All right. So April 8th, I'm at 115 Bourbon Street on the south side of Chicago. Ignite FC. I'm going to be doing color commentary. Please, south side of Chicago, if it's not a far drive, please stop by, say hello. April 16th, I'm in Orlando, Florida for the Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu Pro Grappling Tournament. You can register through Smooth Comp, and I've got other events too that I'm going to unleash. I've got a pretty busy first quarter of the year. So, ladies and gentlemen, please like, share, subscribe. Greatly, greatly appreciated. And by doing that, it's really helping us out, and we sincerely appreciate it.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.